We've waited long enough. What's up, boys? How's everybody doing?
I just wanted...
Give me my camera.
Oh, you're here?
Yeah.
Yeah, what part of him sitting there silently didn't let you know he was here, Aaron?
I don't know. Sometimes Chad just moves
clear.
people into channel. I don't know if they're there or not.
Who moves people in a channel? Nobody's moving nobody in a channel.
Didn't you move them all into channel? Am I wrong?
No, we all got in at the same time.
Wow.
Actually,
Never
it would
mind.
be very hard
Literally
for me
just
to,
coordinated.
Yeah. How we entered the channel would be very hard for me to swiftly... I mean, I know I'm really like fast
You
with
are very fast.
shooters and stuff like that,
Very,
but like
very fast.
I'm not that fast.
I don't know how to get his camera, Alex. Good luck. You got it. I believe in you. Frank, while we're waiting on you, we're just going to talk just the six of us. I don't want you interjecting because I don't see your face on the screen.
Wow.
So I just need you to sit there and be quiet. No talking, Franklin. Yeah, see, that's
not talking.
That's true. You know what? Yeah.
That's the
Scott
sound
got
that you hear at like halftime in
That was
Baldur's Gate.
Chewbacca.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Forecast, a bi-weekly podcast about everything games, film, and news. I'm Aaron Juno.
I'm Alex McCausland, not trying to do technical support.
No, we're just talking about. There's no technical support right now.
Sorry,
I'm
Caleb.
Caleb Juno.
I'm Chad McCausland. And I think the
Frank.
person after me. Oh. Well, he's not on screen, so he's not supposed to talk.
What happened to him?
I was just testing.
And I'm Frank Rice.
Jake Fetter Kyle.
And I'm Owen Patterline. What's going on? Friends, family, and chosen family.
Oh.
What's up?
On today's episode number 178, Twisted Metal on Peacock of all streaming services somehow has a 94% audience score. Yes, you heard it right.
Is it because they have
Wow.
4 people that actually watch it?
Yeah.
No, I will get to that. While EVE Online gets a new board game. We're all really excited about that. Plus, Baldur's Gate 3 released to nearly universal acclaim. The Lord of the Ring novels are passed by the total amount of dialogue in Baldur's Gate 3. And of course, we've been playing Baldur's Gate 3. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us on our social channels, or you can check out our website, WHYBPL.com, where we have a ton of original content for you to browse through, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure, Discord, and Signal. Additionally, everything we talk about is in our cast notes, which is pushed out to whatever podcasting app you are using. Let's get into it. And we have, right off the bat, a freaking rate that list, boys. Are you so excited? I know
We're
you
in
are.
one.
Very.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped. All right, so we
Better
got
be
like
a
the
Baldur's Gate list.
tips for Baldur's
Top
Gate.
10 Baldur's
I
Gate.
looked for some Baldur's Gate lists that were very like subjective.
You know what? I saw one earlier today that was like top 5 companions. Pretty sure there's like 7 companions in that game. So like, that seems really useless.
Yeah, nice. All right. This is Game Rant's 10 worst video game sequels of all time.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Got it.
Kicking it off at number 10, we have Star Wars Battlefront 2.
The first Star Wars Battlefront 2 or the second Star Wars Battlefront 2?
Good question.
The
Maybe it's
second
both in
one
one.
is infinitely better than the first remake, so...
I think this is actually 2019's Battlefront 2.
Oh.
It is
Oh,
a
that's-
68 currently on Metacritic.
The one that nobody likes because it had all the loot boxes and shit.
Yeah.
Yes, mostly
Yeah, but-
because,
okay.
and the article does talk a lot about how the real issues with it were microtransactions and loot boxes that were done so poorly, and it pushed their player base just completely out. So awful.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Number
And
9.
then, they took all that out.
Yes, of course. Number 9, we have Terry Crews's Crackdown 3.
Oh.
I
mean,
never
that's
played any of
fair.
the Crackdown games, so I wouldn't even know.
I thought Crackdown 1 was pretty decent. Crackdown 2 was horrible. And then I think I tried playing Crackdown 3 and got like 5 minutes in and closed the game.
Okay,
Wow.
got it.
Sounds about right.
Number
It's
8,
too good.
Devil May Cry 2.
Oh.
I never played that one, actually.
I also have never played it, but I've heard legends.
Yeah.
That basically the reason Devil May Cry 3 is so good is because the director took all the criticism people had to him and was like, okay, great, I'll use this to make a better game, and then he did.
What a wild
the-
concept.
This is considered to be the blandest and most boring entry in the entire franchise.
Is
More
that the
than
same
4.
game director who was like, I don't like ugly people in my game. No uggies.
Was that somebody else?
Somebody said that?
Did
Yeah.
you actually say no Uggies, or did you
Yeah,
coin
he
that
said,
term?
he said no Uggies.
It's
I'm pretty sure
Hideaki
that
Itsuno?
that the quote is, he said, "I don't do Uggies."
I don't think he said that. I'm just
He
going on
definitely
a
said
limb.
that.
Direct
He
quote. I
definitely
can see
said
Frank
that.
reading it right now. Number 7, we have Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2.
Get out of here. A masterpiece.
Really? You want to go to bat for it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Nah. It's
You gave up
No.
real quick.
yeah, I don't know. Those games are nostalgic.
Uh-huh.
Nostalgic,
Uh-huh.
they're not that old.
Yeah.
I was like a
Not that good
angsty
either.
teen. Like really into I guess I'm still into like people being really
I thought
Too
you were about to say,
strong.
well, I still am an angsty teen.
I don't so I don't
Emo
know
life
how
chose me.
old you are exactly, but it came out in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
that seems late. Now that you say it that way.
Beyond angsty teen, I think.
I
I
feel
mean,
like maybe like
that
maybe
was
it could've
graduation
been.
year for high school.
Okay. Okay, so
No, just look at
barely.
the graduation year, the period.
Yeah. Is this like a 20s are the new teens sort of situation? Feel?
Sure.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
All right, I'll go with that. That's fine. Number 6, Driver 3.
Okay.
Sure.
I
I
mean,
don't know what
yeah,
Driver
yeah,
1 or
yeah,
2
yeah,
is.
moment.
Has anybody played any of those?
What?
Like anybody in the world?
Wasn't one of them?
It's a PS2
Didn't one of
game.
them have Vin Diesel in it?
That's the Wheelman.
That is the
Oh,
wheel
the wheel
man.
man.
Oh wow.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, it has Ryan Gosling in it.
Also, I think you'll find it's pronounced Driftrier.
Oh, yeah, that's
Drift
right.
Ah.
Drift 3.
Maybe
That's
that's
right.
why it's horrible.
Yeah,
Mhm,
makes
mhm.
sense.
They paid a lot of people apparently to get positive reviews, and you know
That's-
that
Wow.
Hilarious.
Awkward.
that never really turns out to be a good decision. Whatever. Number 5, Resident Evil 6.
Oh, it's so bad.
I'll take that. I'll take
Universally
that.
hated one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one seemed to like it.
I played like 5 minutes of it and shut the game off.
Wow, that's rough.
Number 4, we have Medal of Honor Warfighter.
With the
Anybody
name
play
like
Medal of Honor series?
Warfighter, how could it have been bad?
I just want to say, like, going backwards Resident Evil 5 was bad, right? But it was better than Resident Evil 6.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's not great.
Is Warfighter the one where they leaned into like the manly men with beards for
Yes.
all of their marketing?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude.
dudes.
Heck yeah.
Beard tech.
That's the only reason I started growing a beard.
Mhm.
Well, so you should be a
Medal of Honor
warfighter.
Warfighter. Yeah, that's it.
That makes sense.
Number 3, we have Homefront: The Revolution.
Oof.
Okay.
You're
Was the
needing a
first
lot of
one good?
titles that, like, yeah, the first one is bad, or the second one is
First
bad.
Homefront's pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
I
Is
thought you
Homefront-
liked first Homefront, Caleb.
First Homefront's pretty good.
Yeah, he might be the only person.
Don't know anything about
I
that
do.
series.
It was the first game just called Homefront. I thought Homefront: The Revolution was the first game. Nope, I see I'm
Nah,
wrong.
second one.
Number 2, we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Oh. Yeah,
I stopped playing those after like 2,
Wait,
so I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it?
Thug 2?
Is that Wasteland? Or
No, that's
No.
Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
Oh, okay.
There's
No,
like 80
five-
Tony Hawk games.
5 was on
Definitely
like
thought.
360 era, I think.
PS2 era is where it's at.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's where all the Thug games were.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Loved those.
And last but not least, I will agree with this. Number 1, Duke Nukem Forever.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What
Sure.
a bad. I mean, when I guess when
Did you
you end up
play
in
it?
development hell forever, yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
What?
Well, because I loved the Duke
Big
Nukem
Duke
games when I
Nukem
was growing
fan.
up.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
loved
didn't
them.
know. I had no
I
idea.
loved them. Yeah,
So what, you
Um,
like 80? 90?
I am. I am.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm very old.
Mhm.
Were you a big fan of Commander Keen, dude?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just nailed it.
I was a big fan of that one game you got out of the Chex box.
Mm.
Chex Quest, I
Oh,
think
yeah?
it was.
Chex Quest.
It's a good name.
It was like a Duke Nukem Dune type game.
Duke Nukem Dune.
Not Dune.
Doom.
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 Doom. Doom.
Yeah, I was confused too.
It's like like, what is the intersection between Duke Nukem and Dune?
Explosions. That's it.
Try
You're just
living
blowing up
in-
a bunch of sand.
I rate that
Try
list of
living in
2.
Maine and being a fan of both Dune and Doom. Like everybody hears the opposite of what you said. You're like, yeah, I was playing Doom the other day. They're like, oh yeah, I love Dune. Good buck. No,
Good buck. That's a
I am
bad
a little-
list.
I am a little disappointed that Battlefield 2042 is not on here because what a supremely disappointing sequel.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah, it should be on there.
Tomba 2 probably should be on there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No one liked it.
You're dead to me,
Kick you off
Alex.
of this
Dead to
podcast
me.
now. So much better
any-
than
any
the
other-
first one.
Any other standouts from you guys that you're thinking, that should have been on the list?
Oh, the new Saints Row. It's just called Saints Row, confusingly, but the new one.
I got a good one. Overwatch 2.
Oh, good guy.
Roasted.
That.
Oh,
Get on.
man.
not wrong though.
Not at all.
Never
Not at all.
played it, but you're not wrong.
I'm feeling like pretty bad list, like 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. I don't know.
I'd say
Yeah.
the list was pretty accurate.
So
I
once
feel
we do 10 lists, are we gonna rank the 10 lists that we did?
Oh no.
You think it's higher than a 4 out of 10, huh? I don't know. I feel like a list requires a little bit of pizzazz and spice, and this one feels pretty.
Intelligence.
Yeah. This one
If
feels
we're-
kind of bland, but also just like I guess I don't know, pure accuracy maybe.
It's a low-hanging fruit, because it's not the 10 worst sequels of all time. It's just like, here are 10 sequels that were bad. And it's like, that's nothing. That's almost vacuously true. You could just say any 10 sequels.
That's true.
And people would be like, yeah, it was not great.
Yeah. Valid point. All right, it's up like 6. I'll go up to a 6. It's the highest I'm
What?
going.
What's the best sequel?
The best sequel,
Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Wow.
Well,
I
it
don't
would
know.
have been.
I think it would have to be something that has like a vastly different level of quality compared to its predecessor.
Well, how
So
about Resident Evil
Baldur's
7
Gate
then?
3.
Oh, Resident Evil 7.
Resident Evil 7.
And
Sims
Baldur's
4.
Gate, Baldur's Gate
I'm
1
going
and
to
2 are
limit you
like
guys to the second game in the series.
Mass Effect
Second
2.
game.
Mass Effect 2 is a really good pick. The only reason I would
are
argue
we-
is that Mass Effect 1 is also really good.
I was gonna say, are we talking about like the delta between how bad the first game was and how good the second game was, or just like the best
I mean,
second
look,
game
man,
ever?
God of
Like-
War Ragnarok.
like
Oh.
Star Wars: A New Hope was pretty good, and then Empire Strikes Back came out.
Okay,
You can still
all right.
have a good game that had an even better sequel. Uncharted 2, Among Thieves.
Sure.
Dark Souls 3, if you compare it to 2.
But not if
Only
you
the
compare
second
it to
game
1
in the
is
series,
the problem.
Caleb.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Not-
How
It's not
about
the
It
rules.
Takes 2? It Takes 1 was really bad. No one played that.
Literally nobody.
Literally zero
just sitting
people.
here, just being like, yeah, I have like a circle and a square. Hello? The room is filling with water. Hello? It's red. One's yellow.
Okay, let's move on to some news-related items. First and foremost, Jake, I think you want to tell us about your fun news about Red Dead Redemption 1's port.
So, last podcast, we talked a little bit about there were rumors that they were going to remake Red Dead Redemption 1. And I was like, wow, that's really exciting, because Red Dead Redemption 2 is like this really good engine, and I feel like Red Dead Redemption 1 had a really interesting story, so if you kind of blend those together, you're going to get a really cool game. And so we finally found out what they're making, and it's a port of Red Dead Redemption 1 to the PS4
Oh,
and the Switch.
What?
wow.
Yeah.
Exciting.
It's $50 still.
Why?
What?
Yeah, 30 frames per second, locked to 30 frames,
Heck yeah.
$50.
Dude.
What? I don't know why they bothered. Like,
Dude,
don't
game
put it
devs-
out.
Are game devs even trying nowadays?
I
No.
don't-
No.
It's crazy. I don't.
Some of them are.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Larian?
Larian.
Yep.
Larian.
Yep.
But like, I could not believe when I heard PS4. Like, I was like, why did they do that? Put it on the 360. Who gives a shit?
All right, it has to be to the level where like porting that game is not so complicated that it's going to cost them money, because they got to have low expectations for the amount of sales volume they're going to do for PS4 port.
It's kind of
Then why do it?
It's like, here's our whiteboard of ideas of things we could do, and it's been on there for like 7 years, and finally they were like, let the intern port it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And then charge $50 for it.
I feel like it might
Make
be like,
money.
you remember the Grand Theft Auto trilogy?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same situation where they were like, here's some other company no one's ever heard of. Just port this. This will be easy. Just port this. Put HD
Free
textures
money
on
for
it.
us.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
And then it's like, oh, everyone hated it. That's so weird. We put 0 effort into it. Why didn't that work?
What a
I don't know.
disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah, real
Okay.
dumb.
Well,
Real stupid.
all right. Stupid. I heard there was also some theft, some Magic the Gathering things.
More Magic the Gathering theft. This time at Gen Con, as vendors were setting up for their displays, apparently a dude just walked off with an entire pallet worth like about $300,000.
What do you mean walked off with an entire pallet?
Yeah.
The phrase
Back
walked
this
off with an
up.
entire pallet does not make sense.
He
It's
just walked off with it.
pulling a pallet jack with an entire pallet. Yes.
Yeah, he had. Yeah, there's like a video of the dude. He did like a pallet jack, and he just walked out with it.
Somebody just watched him?
What did he
Wait,
It was like security footage.
Please
Oh,
tell me
okay.
he did the infamous like carry a ladder so he gets past all of security, and he had like a
wear-
vest on, a
wear a
ladder, and a
vest.
hard hat. Dude, get anywhere.
Clipboard?
What
Clipboard.
What did he take though? What was the product that
Magic.
he took? No, I understand it was magic cards, but I'm like, what set? Because I'm going to laugh very hard if you tell me it's the new Commander Masters set. The reason being is that so basically the
what
new
cards
set
were
that came
taken? That's unknown. It says.
How do they not know
Yeah, I don't
If
know.
you
which
can-
pallet of cards they were missing?
if you know how much money it is, then you know what it is.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't report it. The article says, as for what cards were taken, that's unknown.
Yeah, like it's not like it's. I doubt that it's going to be like there's a rare Black Lotus in there, kind of BS or whatever.
Sure.
So you
Itemized
don't
list.
know what cards it is, but if you knew the like packs or boxes or whatever that he stole, because the thing is that what's currently happening. Hi, welcome to Magic Talk with Owen. So what's currently happening is that they released this new set, and they were like, "Yeah, this is going to be a cool thing," but no one's buying it. Like, it's a cool product. Everybody likes the cards that are being printed in it, but no one's buying the packs from stores because they're absorbently more expensive than what they should be for a reprint set. And so no one's buying the cards, and people are like,
That looks like
Target
Oh.
and whoever else are putting these packs on their store shelves for like $20 a pack, and then they're like, hey, why is this product not selling? And it's like, because it's fucking $20 for a pack of Magic cards, and it's not worth that money. I'd rather just go to my local game store, hand them $20, and buy the 4 cards that I want from them, which is what I did. So, like, it's this weird thing where, like, sure, you could tell me that it's worth $1 million because you made every single pack inside of that pallet worth $100 a piece, even though the cards inside of it and the price of that is not actively worth $100, and no one's buying it at $100.
Yeah.
Trading card games are for kids.
Well, did you
I mean,
see
yeah.
that somebody pulled the One Ring and Post Malone bought it for $2.6 million?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we
Oh my gosh.
like it has been a thing known in the Magic community that if you pulled that, you sold it to Post Malone.
Yeah.
Like that was just like a running gag of like everybody knew that it would end up in Post Malone's hands because he's the richest Magic player, and
Wait.
why
Is there
wouldn't you
only-
want to give it to him?
Is there only the one
Yes.
ring?
That's the entire point of that card.
And
so
it
there
only
are
sold for 2.6 million.
so there are there are a bunch of cards called the One Ring. There's a bunch of different arts for it. There's a bunch of these cards. However, there is one that is specifically foiled in this way, and in all it's not Elvish, but whatever the language is of Mordor.
The language of Mordor.
Yeah, it's in that language, and it's
language of Baldur.
It's serialized like one
Black
of
Hand
one.
or something like that,
There's
right?
only one of them printed, and so there's only one of these cards that actually exists. And somebody opened it.
Throw it in the fire.
I mean, that was the other joke, is that you go to like someone, like there was somebody that was willing to pay to have that person go to New Zealand, go to the volcano in New Zealand, and throw the card into the volcano.
It would have been really cool if like they made a bunch of these cards and only one of them actually had the text on the ring, and the only way to see it was to expose it to flame.
So
everybody's just tossing their cards into the fire to see if they have the one.
There is. So one of the things that happened, of course, is because when they announced that this was a thing, and then the set came out, there was a lot of people that said, I have the one ring, obviously, because you're going to try to fake it and sell it to somebody else or whatever, and then there's only one real one. And when they authenticated the real one, I forget who the authentication place was, but they mentioned the fact that there was some sort of test that WotC gave them and was like, this is how to tell. So there is something about that card that is significantly different than normal Magic cards.
It's radioactive.
And the only 3 people that apparently, like, you know, Posty has it, so he probably knows what it is. The guy that bought it, he probably knows. And then, like, the dude who made the card. And, like, I guess the person who graded it. So there are only, like, I guess 4 people in the world that know whatever that trick is about that card. Because they were able to tell all of the other ones were fake, because they were like, oh, yeah, do whatever this random test is that nobody knows about, and that's how they were able to determine that was a real one.
Carbon dating with radioactive isotopes.
Yeah, I have no idea, man.
Checks out.
Yep.
Are there other cards in Magic the Gathering that have this level of like uniqueness?
There's lots of them.
No. With the last couple of sets, they started serializing cards. So there's a bunch of cards that are like, hey, this specific art and this specific print style and this specific whatever. And there's like 500 of them. So there's like a bunch of cards now that have done that. I think I don't know the exact list, but I think it was around like 100 cards at this point that have that level of uniqueness. And then there's this. And then there's also a card that the guy who made it, Richard Garfield, there is a card that he printed only one copy of to propose to his wife. And there is only one copy of that. So there's a couple.
Post Malone.
I mean, if you've got the money and this is your hobby, fucking go for it. Like, I think that's cool. I'm glad that Posty has it. Like,
Cocaine's my hobby.
It's going to somebody who's not going to just kind of like hide it from the world. Like when he goes to play with other like YouTubers, and when he goes to events, he's apparently been bringing the one ring to like show to people and have them be able to like hold it and take pictures and shit. So he's
that's because he's Post Malone. He literally has like a SWAT team and like 2 snipers always watching over him.
Like I don't think that he's worried about it walking off anywhere, and I think it's kind of cool that he's trying to like show it to the community and not just being like, yes, I've bought it, and then you'll never see it again. He's like actively trying to like show it. Like he's mentioned that he wants to put it into one of his decks, but then he'd have to break the grading case of it and everything. So he's like, I'm probably just gonna get like a proxy or something.
There's a kind of interesting video from the guy that found it, that sold it to him. He just like has a video and he's like, it's the card, and his hands are like shaking so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
And he sent it to he sent it to a very prominent YouTuber that is friends with Posty, and he was like, hey, like here's the video of me holding it, like I can you get me in touch with Post Malone so I can sell this to him? And the guy put it up on his Twitter and was like, there's no way this is real, this is obviously fake, like why do these people keep trying to like send me videos or whatever? And then like it was real, and so then he like put out a tweet. He was like, okay, you have to admit, like everyone thought this was fake, right? Like
yeah,
he's like, I mean, wrong, it was the real one.
That's cool. That's still cool.
Yeah.
Of course, Post bought it though.
Mhm.
Cool. Also, sort of last in news here, we probably want to talk a little bit about Keith David, who is replacing Lance Reddick.
Yeah, as Zavala in Destiny. So they announced that they're going to like keep the character around. I guess they're just replacing the voice actor. I think Keith David's a good pick.
Yeah.
They won't sound the same. He has a strong voice though.
Mhm.
He does have a strong voice, but let that be an opportunity to like create a new character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hard. You gotta like go into a character creator. Give him a face. God.
Realize they have to like redo a whole bunch of story, and they
Yeah.
don't want to have to do that.
Like, you could just kill
Not
the
really.
character.
They didn't do that with
Cade.
Cade. Yeah, they just completely changed his voice. And like there are still some voice lines in the game from Nathan Fillion.
Yep.
I don't know, I've heard
feel
rumors
like-
he's coming back, so maybe that's happening too, but
I feel
Yeah,
like
it's
when
in
you
one of the
have
most
a
recent cutscenes.
character,
Yeah.
voice actor actually pass away, it's kind of hard to figure out what to do,
Mhm.
and killing the character could be in poor taste.
Like this actor
Uh,
died, we should kill him.
Yeah, so
Like,
like maybe like writing them out of the story
retires.
to where like Zavala
Yeah,
goes
sure,
and hangs out with
sure,
their
sure.
children
That's
or something.
He's like,
his
I'm
children.
gonna go fight the darkness.
The problem with that
He just
with,
flies off. He just flies off.
Just
you
who
can't
knows
have
where.
Zavala go pull like a Brian and go live with his wife and kid
Yeah, I don't know.
because
Are you
his
sure?
wife and kid
I'm
are
pretty sure you
dead.
could.
Wow.
Well,
You find
I
some
mean,
new
well,
wife and kid.
You kill him
Wow.
off, and he goes and lives with his wife and kid.
Yeah.
spoilers, Alex.
I mean, does anybody really care?
Wow.
Do you remember
Wait,
the
there's
story
a
of the
plot
last
to
expansion
Destiny?
I do.
But
and how
but
little they
Keith,
cared about that narrative?
like Keith David. Is James Earl Jones still alive?
I have to Google this.
Is he? I
I'm
think he
pretty-
is.
Pretty
I'm
sure.
pretty sure he is.
Daddy's interested in doing video games.
Yeah. Yeah, we still got him. We still got him.
We still
He's
got him.
92.
He's
Good,
92.
He's 92.
Star Wars is gonna keep bringing Darth Vader back until he passes away, and then they're just gonna have AI just doing his voice.
People were
I mean,
worried
I'm
they were
sure
going to
they
AI
wanna
Lance
do
Reddick's
that.
voice.
Mm.
And
I
so
mean,
they
there's-
did do that.
There's probably enough. I mean, there's got to be enough content for them to just be able to recreate it. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Which is
sure
part of
there
the.
is.
I mean, the whole reason that we're in the middle of this strike right now, anyways. But
Create the voice of Lance Reddick based off of his Toys R Us or Toys R Me video.
he has a Toys
don't-
R Me video. Is this
Yeah.
like an SNL skit? Or is this a
Something
real
like
place
that.
called Toys R
No,
Me?
actually, I believe it was College Humor, and it's a
perfect.
skit where he is like a absolute insane manager of a Toys R Us. Like,
I like it.
you should definitely look it up because it's
Toys
just
R
Lance
Me.
Reddick. Yeah, just absolutely shitting all over people.
I
He's
just
like,
watched
you pooped for 2 minutes. I timed you.
I just watched that Invincible special the other night and was surprised to hear his voice in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the first time outside of Destiny, well, and John Wick that I like. The most recent thing, I guess, that
Yeah.
I've heard him in. It was weird. Just, I don't know. It's too bad.
Rest in peace.
Sorely missed. Yep. Okay, let's move on to a couple things in tabletop. I wanted to bring this up, not because I really care about EVE Online or really care about a kickstarted 4X board game, because really I don't play 4X games. But EVE Online is partnering with Titan Forge, who's one of the guys who makes, or one of the companies that makes all the minis. Apparently they've published a few board games before, not anything really interesting. They have Lobotomy and Lobotomy 2 Manhunt and Army Moles, which is just...
What?
Who makes it? Army Moles. It's like animals, except it's ARMYMALS. Army Moles. It's animals in tanks blowing each other to smithereens.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought you said they didn't make anything good.
Oh, sorry.
No, I have
objectively
Lobotomy
good.
too.
Oh
You
my
have
god.
one?
Bottom
Of course
played
you
it.
freaking do.
Right,
Get
it's right
out.
down
He
there. I think
kickstarted it.
You can see it. It's the white one.
Who's
down there.
ever heard of that game?
No one. It does have an 8.3 on Board Game Geek, for what it's worth. Anyway, point is, EVE Online's partnering with them to make this 4X board game. The Kickstarter goes live this quarter, but I was just reading about it, and then I got really just sucked into reading about the universe of EVE Online, which, I mean, we've talked about some things in the past, like the giant battle where there was like 300,000 actual dollars lost. Some of the stories we've heard when we were at PAX, just very neat, very cool, very crazy universe. What I did not know is two things. One, they have an EVE Fan Fest every year in Reykjavik, which is where the CCP, which is the company that makes EVE Online, publishes EVE Online, that's where they're based. And I guess tons and tons of people show up. EVE Online cosplaying, hanging out. They're gonna do like a soft launch of their board game there, like a demo for people to try out. And on top of that, they have this thing called the Council of Stellar Management, which is a 9-person elected panel by all of EVE Online's universe, and they elect them to a panel, and their whole thing is they are just like the intermediary between everybody who's in the game and then the people who work at CCP to provide them with suggestions about how the game should be modified.
Wow.
I would hate that job.
Do they get paid? Do they make money doing
No,
that?
they do not get money. The first time they had an election was in March 2008. They had 66 candidates for 9 positions. It took 2 weeks to sort out who was elected. And the way it works is they are guaranteed 3 responses from CCP. So if they make a suggestion to the developer, hey, we want to make this change in the game, they have 3 guaranteed responses. The first one is they fly that person to Reykjavik and they have the conversation in person. And then the second 2 are via email and Zoom call at this point.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Do you get to choose?
Which one they answer in that way? I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't say. It just
This
says...
is like when Obama did change.org and everybody said you should build the Death Star, and then he was like, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Like, just show up, be like, what do you got? Be like, I want to add toilets on the ships. Like,
Not enough bathrooms in
That'd be
space
just like
stations.
Starfinder, yeah.
I want to make feces a hot commodity on the economical market of EVE Online.
Heck yeah.
Space.
They are on their 17th Council of Stellar Management at this point.
That's so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
What a bunch of crazy people.
I'm Aaron. After hearing about the space games you like, I feel like you might like EVE Online.
Yeah.
It's
Played it.
intriguing to me. Never played it, though. I just love the stories that come out of it. I think that's some of the most unique stuff. But anyway, that's enough about EVE and their 4X board game. Let's talk about Pathfinder 2e, which is the ultimate. And I mean the ultimate,
Hey,
especially
no
if you
one
ask
said
Caleb.
that.
It is the ultimate
I've never said that.
of all tabletop RPGs. Nothing will ever beat it. Talk about how it just got even better, please.
Yeah, Paizo last week released the Rage of Elements book for 2nd edition Pathfinder, which has a whole bunch of stuff about the 6 elements. They added wood and metal as the 2 new elements.
Not elements.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Weird
Paizo,
choices.
whatever.
Nice try.
Weird
Nice try.
choices. But they also added the kineticist, which is the really big part. It's basically a metal, or a elemental bender from Avatar. You can bend any of the 6 elements, and the class is just so good. I feel like it's a whole step above every other class in the game for how interesting and cool it is. And just the amount of options you have is insane building a character.
You were saying you could probably have like a whole party of just that
You could.
class.
You could
They'd
have an
all
entire
be
party.
different.
Yep, they'll all be completely different. You'd have a support, you'd have a tank, you'd
Okay.
have blasters, you'd have everything you need. Yeah, crazy.
It's cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
I could tell.
Mhm.
We've talked about it like 3 times
Yep,
since it came out. Yeah.
I want to bring it up.
Very
It's
excited.
great. They've also
Very, very excited.
they had recently the Gen Con. They've been talking a bunch of Paizo stuff there. They announced Starfinder 2nd Edition for people who care about Starfinder.
So like, all 10 of those people will be excited.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, let's be honest. It's not Starfinder 2e. It's Pathfinder 2e in space.
In space.
In the
I mean,
future.
sure.
Yeah, they did
That's
say
all
it's
it
going
is.
to be completely compatible with all of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, so you can mix and match whatever you want between the two. It'll be crazy.
Yeah. I'm just
Excited.
excited for more Starship combat, personally.
Mm.
I've been lacking
Yes.
that in my life.
They're going to have to do something to fix that, huh? We'll see.
I'll send him my PDF.
Control
couple
F,
games.
like Control A, backspace. That's how you fix Starship combat. Just get it out of there.
Yikes.
Okay, let's move on to film. I was gonna make a comment, but let's just move on to film real quick. Just want to briefly touch on this topic, only because we made fun of it the last time we were in here. But currently, Twisted Metal Season 1, 94% Rotten Tomatoes. Just want you guys to know. Audience score.
How
Don't know.
is that possible?
1,000
The
ratings.
snippet we saw looked
AI.
horrible.
I could
AI.
see it being
AI.
like an AI thing.
AI.
Gotta check it out, I guess.
Yeah,
I have no choice now.
movie event of the summer.
I have no choice now.
All right, coming over to your projector.
It's
Okay,
a
sounds
show,
good.
even, right? Not even a movie.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
show. It's a show. Yeah,
It's,
there's 10 episodes. It just wrapped up.
Let's
Ow.
do
Of, like, the
two episodes a
Twisted Metal
week at Aaron's
PlayStation
place.
game?
Let's
Yeah.
break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Starring Anthony Mackie.
Hey, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Will Arnett
Also-
How do you
voice
make
of
10
Sweet Jack.
episodes out
Will
of that?
Arnett.
I don't know how you make 10 episodes out of that.
Will
It's kind of like the
Arnett?
same conversation.
Yeah,
It's like,
he's not.
how do you...
He's not in it, but his voice is in it. He voices
Yeah.
one of the characters
Someone
who
else
is in
is
it.
the body
It's
of
live
Sweet
action.
Tooth,
Yes. That
Yes.
is true.
and
Yes.
he just provides the voice.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Excellent choice. Love that.
You know what? Better yet, we'll just have a viewing, a mumble viewing, a little Alamo Drafty house.
Okay,
I
perfect.
mean, that would
First
be pretty
episode.
fun, actually.
I would
10
do that.
episodes?
I'd do it.
You remember like episode 4 of this podcast when we watched Arrow?
Was it
The
Arrow?
Arrow,
Yeah. Yeah.
We
What
should do
a
more of that.
show.
What a good time. That was fun.
So bad.
Death is an illusion.
That's-
Some parts of the
Some
world.
parts,
Some
of,
parts
the
of the
world.
world.
Not everywhere.
Not
But in
everywhere.
some parts of the world.
Oh, man. Okay, let's move on to the smallest chunk of the podcast, which is talking about some video games. We're going to start out with there was a blind player competing at Evo.
Yeah, Evo happened, so, and there's a bunch of crap that happened there. It's not important. The important part is there's a dude literally blind that played Street Fighter 6 competitively and won a match on the main stage.
Wow.
Okay, all right, just let me break this down. I don't want to be mean. A match?
He won at least a match. I've been trying to find like how he placed and I can't find it.
Okay.
But
on
'Cause-
the main stage, so that means that he must have like had to qualify. Right?
yeah, he had to at least get through like a couple of rounds of qualification or whatever. But apparently Street Fighter 6 just has like accessibility features where you can get like audio cues and stuff like that for like distance to your opponent and other things like that. So he's able to use those
Interesting.
features
This is interesting, yeah.
to
That's
totally play
fascinating.
blind.
Also, he
That's
beat
insane.
he won more matches than I ever would. So I mean that's saying something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so do you still get as sweaty if you can't like see it? Like when you're down to nothing and it's just like dive kicks.
I'm just imagining
and,
like your GPS navigation telling you turning in 100 feet, but it's just like you have 10 health.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's also
Dodge.
not at that speed, right? You have 10 health, dodge. He's 10 feet away. 10 health, dodge. You know, it's
No,
like,
it's-
super rapid, right?
It's just like being married.
No, it's literally the
Like, look out,
GPS
look out,
voice. It's
look
just
out,
like
gonna
you
get
have
Move,
10 health.
move, block.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my god, what are you doing? Do a special. Do a special. You messed up the buttons. Oh my god, you always do this.
Yeah,
I
so
hope
it's-
Move.
I hope it's really
He's 10
aggressive
feet away,
like that,
15.
too.
but yeah, he has to completely rely on audio cues to play. And like he just, I mean, some of the fighting game stuff is totally fine without vision. Like you can totally muscle memory combos and stuff like that. And so, you know, if you hear the punch connect, you're like, oh, I'm going into this combo. I'm gonna do this much damage or whatever. But yeah, managing like positioning should be difficult, I think. He played Honda, so
Okay.
some of it can be explained by that because Honda's a charge character, so you want to try to be like backing away from your opponent the whole time, so you're like full screen mostly, and then also he has moves that move him all the way across the screen to
Mhm.
the opponent.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter how far you're away if you're doing that, but like managing health, like you guys are talking about, managing meter, I imagine that's really hard. Like knowing
yeah,
that
I
kind
would
of
think
stuff.
so.
But yeah, very impressive. He looks cool. His name is he goes by Blind Warrior Sven, which is just awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he literally wears like a blindfold when he's up on stage competing.
Even better. Even
So
better.
cool.
I was gonna ask, was he like sunglasses or was he like no sunglasses, just
No, he looks focused. He just has a blindfold on. He looks like an anime character. Looks like Kakashi or something.
I'm like, I've heard stories about like when you lose one of your senses, your others are heightened. So I'm sure that is like the same thing when you're playing a game, right? Like we try to imagine, I'm sure there's like way more audio cues if you're just playing, with that accessibility feature on than just the verbal cues. There's probably other sound cues that we are not attuned to. And so playing for him probably is not like, it's still complicated, yes, but it's probably not like what we imagine level of complexity. There's probably a whole bunch of other features or things that we can't quite grasp because we've never done anything like that.
Well, I mean, you could also, like vibration has actually gotten to a pretty high fidelity.
Yeah.
So you could have a couple things on a couple different channels there, and you could probably have like some spare like USB motors that just like sit on your hips or something. Like
have
it run through some third-party software or something.
Just like pure haptic feedback on the rest of your body.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Every time I get punched,
I feel
punched
it
in the chest.
Watching
I get
this
shocked.
gameplay, you would never know he's blind if you didn't broadcast or like if you didn't see it. Like this is ridiculous.
It's impressive.
that's really cool.
Okay, so how bad did the guy that beat him feel?
Oh no.
And how close was the match?
Well, how bad did the guy that lost feel? This is the real question.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
No,
It's bad
dude,
on both sides.
if I lost to a blind guy in a fucking fighting game, I'd be like, God damn, dude, get this guy the Nobel Peace Prize. Like,
Yeah.
anybody can do anything. Just do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Just instant motivator.
Mm-hmm. And it'd just be sitting there and be like, oh, I couldn't butter my bread this morning. Oh, yeah? Well, this guy that's fucking blind since he was born fucking kicked the shit out of me playing Street Fighter 6.
Couldn't butter my bread this morning. Okay.
So you can do
was that the link
anything.
for it?
Yeah, that's the link for
Okay, good.
one of the videos
I'll
of him on the
post
main
it.
stage.
That's really cool. Another thing that's really cool in video games, Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah.
It's all
I
right.
mean,
Never heard of it.
subjective.
It's objectively really cool.
Subjective. I mean,
I can't tell if you're saying subjective or it's subjective, so it sounds like it's coming across as subjective.
nah. Like I heard.
Subjective.
No. Here's the thing. I heard that this is like something that's out of the box. Like you shouldn't be expecting this from other devs. Like, this is like the bar is here, and like all expectations need to be like down. Like because this is just out of the norm. So yeah, subjective.
Yeah.
I really don't get why that's been like the prevent. Like it's really good, but like when Elden Ring came out, Norm was like, "Hey, we can't do that, everyone.
Yeah.
Like it's too good. Like don't think we're gonna make them like that." It's like, yeah,
Don't
What?
compare our game to Elden Ring, please.
it's like I get it, Like sometimes they make a really great game, and you're like, "Wow, that was really great."
Another one, please.
There's
What
like
do you
this-
mean we can't just have games that are good?
There's like this narrative that's happening nowadays from developers that they're just trying to push this ideology of like, we aren't here to appease you. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, I forget what game it was or what developer, but they basically came out and said like, we did this and we don't really care that you don't like it, or it's whatever. That it's not our job for you to like
Sounds
this.
like someone from
Money
Blizzard.
making machine. Yeah, that's exactly. You have phones, don't you?
Classic.
Yeah. Let's talk about Baldur's Gate though, because
I mean, yeah.
Well, I don't even know where to start on this game. Who wants to?
Sucks.
Feel free. Anybody.
Starting with this game, how did you guys get in a fight with the dog? I am so upset.
Oh, there's an option to
Oh.
yell at the corpse that the dog is near, and he hates that.
Yeah. And
He's
some
really
people
mad.
I
wanted me
cannot
to do
believe
that.
that you guys were like, yeah, let's fight the dog, rather than
didn't choose
instantly
to
being
fight
like,
the dog.
"Come to me."
I didn't
We
want
did
to.
not. We did not go in and say, let's fight this dog. We went in and saw there was an option to yell at a corpse and went, yeah, that sounds really fucking funny.
It
And
does.
it was, but the dog did not find it
The
funny. So
intention
we
was
did
to
have to
prove to the dog that the owner was dead. And then
Great
he would
idea.
nicely come with us. But no, he
He didn't get
Instead-
the joke.
wanted to defend his master.
What an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching your Let's Play on Twitch, and it seems like you guys are having a very good time. I mean, I've been playing it with Allison every single night for several hours each night, and we've been having a fucking blast going through this game.
The fact that we had a 7-hour stream where multiple of us got up for like 10 minutes for just a quick break, and then we came right back like it was nothing. Like the
Yeah.
whole time, no one peed, no one went and got water.
Oh,
No, like-
I was peeing the whole time.
Yeah, of course you were.
Got my bucket.
Think I'm getting up? No.
It's,
I-
man. Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, so how far did you guys end up getting? Did you get through the did you get to the party? The party?
Nope.
I would
I know
would
nothing
say
about
I
a
guess
party.
Okay.
now.
cool. Well, because the party is where like a lot of the romance scenes happen.
Mm.
So
We
I
have-
was wondering.
We have not done any fucking.
Not yet.
I had so many options. And so I had to like turn people away at that point, and Allison playing with me, no one, absolutely no one was interested in her. In fact, half of them were very mean. And
Yikes.
it was very painful to go through, of just being like, so how's it going over there? Like, who are you gonna like sleep with at the end of the night? And it's just like every single person was like, what's her face? Lizelle was just like, could you imagine? Like, I could never be with you. Like, just rude.
See,
I was like, holy shit.
I just remember playing that game with some friends before it technically released, but I'm sure that it's still in the game. Just like opening a barn door
Yeah.
I know the exact
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
Frank.
Uh-huh.
and
That's
just
there
being
still.
and then just being like, word.
This is
And then it's
that
like,
kind of game.
Oh, this is a fight. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the best features of this game, because obviously it's a role playing game based off of 5e. It's the third in a series. It's made by Larian, who also makes Fallen Heroes, excellent game that's
outta
coming
here.
out soon.
Yeah, this November. Keep your eyes out.
Yep. No, they make Divinity Original Sin. We loved Divinity Original Sin 2. It was a great game.
Mhm.
But this game,
Original
man,
Sin first game also.
Also
Very
very
good.
good.
Very
I've
good.
never played
Yeah.
it, but I've
They-
heard very good things.
They know what they're doing. I don't know how they cracked the code, but they got it.
Yeah.
Sven and his boys are just sitting there just being like, yo,
That's
I
right.
think they just have they have like talented people.
I mean, yeah.
And they put the people where it's like, oh, they take the Valve approach where it's like, oh, you're really good at writing random bullshit dialogue. We're gonna put you over on that team. I know you're a graphic designer, but you're going over here and you're just gonna do that.
Well, it also seems that they give a shit about their devs, which, like, because they mentioned with the release of this that they were like, hey, we're going in hibernation after this. Like, we need some time off. Like, we've done too much. Like, this is all you get for a while. Enjoy it. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Rather than, every other dev company that it's like, oh yeah, we're working on like 4 other games in the back burner and we just put this one out and it's like buggy as fuck, but we don't care. And like,
It just
yeah,
came out.
yeah,
First
we-
season's coming out in 2 weeks.
the sequel's
cranking out the
tomorrow. We're working on a 3rd one with this other company in the back. Like, they're just like, nah, this is it. This is what you get. Like, enjoy it. Like, we're not fucking around. And we gotta take a nap after this. And I'm like, cool, yeah, do that. Like,
And at the
this
same
game is
time,
awesome.
they're like, we believe that the entire product should be complete, and it's just one purchase, no DLC, no Microtransactions.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. I was wondering like why my battle pass wasn't showing up. I like was trying to like figure out where my dailies were so I could just like grind through the game and hate playing
Yeah,
it for
dude.
the next 6 months. Like
Where
is
are
that?
my
Come on.
cosmetics?
Heck yeah.
Where are my cosmetic? Like I have character creator, but then I can pay money to have better character creator.
No?
Yeah, you know, you didn't
I'm
get the
aboard.
DLC races. You know, the ones you have to pay money to play those specific races because they're like overpowered and broken. You didn't buy that. That wasn't there. Weird.
So what are you playing, Owen? Like, what's your party makeup?
So I am playing a tiefling bard, and then I saw Caleb playing a tiefling bard.
Whoa. I'm a Dragonborn, thank you very
Oh,
much.
I'm sorry, Dragonborn bard. But I was like, awesome. What up? So we have a tiefling bard. We have a rogue, human rogue. What are you? What's?
Are you trying to-
Yeah. What's your character?
She's
Peanut Gallery? Chiming in.
Yeah, it's like rogue and fighter, I think. Yeah, it's-
the Battlemaster.
Oh yeah, assassin and battle
nice.
master combo class going on there.
It's Huntress from.
Yeah, she's building it to be Huntress from Birds of Prey.
That's what
We even got like purple dye to make the outfit work.
Nice.
Great. So yeah, we have those two, and then we've been subbing through a lot of people depending on like where we're going, and it's like, oh hey, we're gonna go enter like the Temple of Shar, and I'm like, all right, well, better go grab Shadowheart because that's her thing. But like for the most part, I think like our comp has pretty much just been us two, Lizelle as a front line, and then like either Shadowheart or we had Will for a while as well, kind of rotating in there. We've
So you have
basically
two
looked at Gale and
customs.
threw him into the back, and we were like, "Fuck you."
Wow. Mean to Gale.
Gale's cool.
Yeah,
Gale's cool.
Gale seems very cool. We just like haven't played a lot with him because a lot of the stuff hasn't been like very obviously, oh, we should bring Gale for this. This is the thing that we like, you know, oh, we're gonna go to the Githyanki. Better go grab Lizelle. There hasn't been like, oh, we're gonna go to a thing, better go get Gale. We've just been like
Yeah.
kind of rotating and getting other people. We just took him now to the Underdark with us because we were like, what's your deal, dude? Like I know from the from watching you guys and from like the little intro thing that he like somehow needs to eat mythical or magical items and artifacts. So
He's
we
a
have
hungry
like
boy.
we have a
Very hungry.
stockpile of that, but he hasn't mentioned anything about his backstory, so we can't
Wow.
give him any of it. He's just kind of there, and we're
You
like,
probably have to play with them.
Probably do.
Could be.
yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, because we don't have any custom characters. We're all playing
Well,
Origins.
except for
Caleb.
Caleb, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
kind of,
he's-
but the-
Dark Urge.
Oh yeah, he's
Under
doing
Dark
Dark
Urge.
Urge. Yeah.
There is no Dark Urge like actual origin class, right? You still pick everything
No.
yourself.
You pick everything,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Dark Urge is sort of like their answer to custom characters not having a lot of backstory. So like in Divinity Original Sin 2, you had these like characters with a predefined background, like, oh, that's Losa, she has voices in her head and she's gonna follow the storyline. But then if you wanted to build your own character, you just didn't get a story basically. So in this game they made something called the Dark Urge, which is sort of, it's more like a story template, but it has no established name or race or class. You just get to pick it all yourself, which is a really neat idea. I think that's an excellent, very elegant solution to that problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a really good step up from Divinity.
I'm
there are
interested to see
multiple-
how it goes.
I'm intrigued to see your gameplay solely because since you're playing some of the characters,
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering how much of their story that I'm getting as someone who's outside of them, I'm understanding versus the story that you're getting by playing them. Like, are they still having the same cutscenes, or are they like there's less of that, and it's because you're kind of role playing it more, so you don't have to have as many cutscenes to explain like, oh hey, yeah, my name's Will. I have to go find this person, and that's my thing, is I'm hunting down this demon. Oh, wait, we have the demon now. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been
It's-
playing a single player campaign as well on the side, and you get a lot more story from the origin characters not playing them than you do playing them.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because they'll be like, hey, here's my deal, here's like where I'm from and what I'm up to. Whereas when you're playing them, it's like, I'm gonna go eat that child. I'm gonna kick that squirrel, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that shit from that child.
Yeah, right. Like they're doing whatever stupid shit you tell them to do.
I would have thought that at least like the conversations would still come out somehow.
I mean, I bet it's different, right? Is my guess is that it's not so much like it's better one way or the other necessarily.
Yeah.
From what I've seen of your gameplay of the characters, and then from my interaction from my gameplay, it does seem like they kind of distilled it. Like, you don't get all of the interactions, but you still get the main ones that like give you the plot of like, hi, I'm Lizelle and this is what I'm about. Like, you kind of like get a little bit less of the airy, just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of chats that they have, and more focused.
Filler.
Let's talk about like the game itself a little bit. I feel like we've been really in the weeds with like characters and specifics. So obviously, like we said, it's a 5th edition role-playing game, D&D. I was a huge fan of Divinity Original Sin, Divinity Original Sin 2. What I think this actually does better than those, and I'm curious to hear if you guys think similarly, is I think the presentation of the story is just a lot better. It does a lot more when you're talking to a character. You'll get like a more dynamic camera where you're like face to face, almost like in a BioWare game, where you actually like the camera like zooms in, you can like see their face talking, they'll like emote and stuff. Whereas Divinity was always kind of like, the camera was always like way up, like it was kind of a a tactics game. And so even in dialogues, you would get like text, and it would be voiced sometimes, but there wasn't any acting really. You were just kind of seeing it from afar. And I felt like, to me at least, it made it very easy to kind of just ignore 90% of it, because they would just talk a lot, and I didn't always know what they were talking about. So I'd just be like, all right, yeah, well, let's go to the next part. But here, I feel like I'm a lot more invested in the story.
Sure.
Part of that's just the actual creation of the story and the world. It all kind of weaves together really well, I think, so far. Unlike, I think Destiny has a lot of really disparate pieces that it just cobbles together.
Yeah, Destiny's pretty bad about the story.
Not Destiny. Divinity. There we go.
We did it.
The
We
other
got there.
D1.
It's so funny, because looking back on it, I'm like, Divinity has a lot of really interesting ideas, but it always feels like they're like, here's this one interesting part, and then the rest of the plot is over here about some other shit that's not that interesting.
Yeah.
It has its moments, but you're like really there for like the interesting combat in that game.
Yeah,
the
it
combat
also
scenarios.
It also seems I don't know, I think just like easier to absorb than in Divinity 2, at least from like my frame point, is just like every time that you start a Divinity 2 game, you're like, oh dear Jesus, I have to listen to so much talking and get through this like first area, and it's like just kind of a struggle because there's just so much like story that is not really connecting and you have to kind of push through. It's not a bad story, it's just there's a lot of it kind of dumped on you, whereas this, I'm sure the same thing is happening to me, but I'm absorbing it. Like, I'm not just going to be like, geez, I have to watch this cutscene, and oh no, this character is going to be introduced, and geez, like, I'm okay, at least right now, with the idea of just being like, yeah, I want to make a second character, I want to do a third, like, I want to rerun through this again, and try out different options, like, I don't know, it seems at least, like, story-wise, that it's kind of like, more approachable and more entertaining, I guess. Like, not better written, because both seem good, like well written to me, but it's just kind of like their pacing of it works a lot better.
Yeah, it's paced really well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
also
Divinity... Sorry, go on.
With 174 hours of cutscenes, I don't think you'll ever get them all in one playthrough. So, this is the type of game I think you could just go through with multiple different types of characters and really experience different classes, versus Divinity Original Sin 2, I don't think you could do that and really still feel like it was a fresh game.
Yeah.
You're just going to feel like you're repeating a story you've done once before. This, I think you could do it again and maybe just approach it slightly differently with a whole different template of players or characters and then run through it like that.
There's so many options for character creation too. Like you could have several different full parties that are completely different in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 44 hours into this game, and I am not done Act 1 yet.
Jeez.
I'm still not even ready to. I'm still not even ready to play it.
In my single player game, I'm playing a druid, and there's just so many dialogue options available to me, specifically as a druid, that we don't have in our co-op playthrough.
Wow.
I
There's
have
just a
been
ton of stuff.
surprised by how many like class and character specific interactions there are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't think like when Caleb's playing a bard, and I was like, you know, I imagine it's usually like, oh, you know, it's the thing you walk up to someone and they go, oh, I'm a bard, haha, and like that's the line. It doesn't matter. You know, it's a line that doesn't do anything. But there have been so many times Caleb goes up to talk to someone, it's like, oh, he's a bard, so he can solve this problem by singing, or like a bunch of other random stuff, and it's like, why?
Being good at telling stories, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild how much of that there is. I really didn't expect that.
I mean, I think the first town that you get to, right, is like the way that you can talk to the tieflings as a tiefling and have that as your options is awesome, because it completely changes how you interact with that, like, those people and how you like want to solve that problem. I think that's the other cool thing about it, is that there's no one way to solve any of the problems in the game, which has to be a pain in the ass on the dev side of it, but it's also very cool of like, all right, you know, like, you get to this area and here's the thing that's happening. You could ignore it. You could like stealth your way into it. You could kill every single person on site. You know, you could diplomacy your way through. Like, there's like 8 different ways to solve those problems that it's just like, oh, this is going to be a lot more fun when I do a different playthrough of it and I do this.
One of the coolest revelations we had, I think, at least from me so far, was we finished a big battle on Goblin Fort, and then we found like the rafters above the area, and then we were like, oh, these rafters kind of like connect all of the area. You could totally just like stealth through above everybody, and that'd be an alternate way to access that area.
Yep.
Also, like, speaking of approaches, one of the things I really like about this compared to Divinity Original Sin 2 is the amount of options you have when you're going to take your turn, just in general. There's just so many different things you could do outside of, all right, here's the like 12 spells as a caster you have currently equipped as, in Original Sin 2. Now it's like, you can dip your weapon in some fire and get some extra damage on your weapon. You can shove people, which we learned is an incredibly effective tool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Shove everyone as much as you can.
It's incredibly effective at losing all the loot.
We need to talk about the one time that we had a thing. Jake's like, I want to shove this guy off of a chair.
I'll do the short version. We get a quest that's like, okay, you got to take out this army. There's like 3 people in charge. If you kill all of them, we'll win the battle. And like, we walk in, and one of the dudes is just in this room, surrounded by guys. He's sitting in his throne, and there's a bottomless pit like 10 feet away from him. I'm a big, strong barbarian, so I just went, I think I can push him far enough for him to reach that pit. So like, everyone posts up, I shove him, he goes right in the pit, and I go, alright, we got him. And then as the fight progresses, everyone's trying to shove people into this pit. So Alex's character shoves someone towards the pit, but they don't quite make it. He ends his turn. This character goes around to the other side of Alex and shoves him into the same pit. And he dies.
I couldn't believe the AI shoved me into the pit I tried to shove him into. It was
funniest thing.
So good.
I've
It was hilarious.
So messed up.
Yep. I had a very similar thing happen of like trying to push somebody into like off an edge and then them not going out, like going over, and then just it was their turn coming around pushing me off that edge.
Yeah.
And I was like, son of a
I didn't
bitch.
think it'd be smart enough. I just didn't consider that as a danger.
Yeah, no. I'm surprised. I'm not a huge fan of 5th edition, but this has painted it in a much more positive light. It does feel like you have a lot of tactical options. And you actually have some interesting choices to make with your build. Maybe it's because I'm leveling up a little bit quicker than in like a tabletop game.
No.
So I'm hitting milestones quicker maybe, or I'm in single player, I'm leveling up literally 4 different characters. But it's been really fun. I think the combat's great.
The other quality of life feature in combat is the tide initiative movement, whatever you want to call it.
Such
What
a
a
good
So
idea.
good for multiplayer.
So like in again, we'll go back to original sin 2. When it's your turn, and that's it. Period. You moves on to the next person to initiative, they go, and so on and so forth down the line. People change initiative, whatever. In this, it's like if you're grouped together, like let's say you roll a 17, your other party members roll a 16 and 15, you're like right next to each other. You all go simultaneously because you're technically going to be acting one right after another. So you can just go in that all at the same time. Just go ahead and cast your spells, do your attacks, move, whatever. And then it just shifts on to the enemy, goes through them until it jumps back around. And I think it's such a you're not sitting around waiting on people to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
It's so nice. Especially when it's like,
Oh yeah.
I'm fighting on the left side of the arena, you're fighting on the right side of the arena. I don't need to wait for you to do your thing to do my thing. We
Yeah.
can both just do our thing. And if you want to coordinate, obviously you still can just wait for them to do their thing and then do your thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I like that it doesn't completely throw initiative out the window. Like one of the tactics games where it's like your entire team goes and then their entire team goes. Like that, I wouldn't like as much.
Well,
But
I think
The
think-
fact that it respects initiative and then just groups together similar initiatives is really smart.
like War Tales does it in an interesting way, where it's like the initiative is like, yeah, okay, whoever has the highest initiative, but when it gets to your team, it's not a specific character. It's just like your team can go. Someone on your team can go.
Yeah.
And you only have so many. So it's like, first off, you have to communicate and just being like, okay, I'm going to go and then you can go. I'm going to go over here and do this and stun this guy. Then you can go over there and kill him. Okay. Or also half the time, both of us will be like, not communicate and then go. And then be like, oh, you're going? Oh, okay.
I like that less than this version because like as soon as a character starts to go in that version, it locks everybody else out. So it's still separate
Still having to
turns.
wait.
It's not simultaneous.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you more flexibility on initiative values, which is
This-
nice, I guess. But
Also, weirdly adds an extra layer to the tactics where if you have like two groups of two and they're split by one guy, you can have one of your characters go take him out, and then suddenly you can join the groups, and the other
You're
two
all
can
together.
take their turns, and it's a neat little addition, I think.
Just speeds up gameplay too. I think that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons I feel like we're leveling so
Yeah.
fast is our combats are much quicker than they would be if we were
Yeah.
doing our own individual turns.
But plus, I'm playing a barbarian, so combat's gonna go really
True.
quick because I just kill everything constantly.
You shove them into
nonstop.
holes.
Man, Karlak's
just
so
push him in the
strong,
holes.
man.
Ugh.
They
It's-
also they brought over a lot of things from Divinity that aren't necessarily parts of 5e, like igniting grease
Oh,
pools
sure.
of grease that somebody creates with the grease spell, stuff like that. Just there's a lot of stuff that carried over from that I think does a lot for
whole-
tactics.
Dipping your weapon in an
Dipping.
element. I don't think that's a 5e thing. Maybe
No,
I'm
no.
wrong.
No, it's not. Yeah,
I do
Yeah,
take all of
Technically, it
those.
can be.
it can be,
Right.
but it's not.
I mean,
written in the
anything
rules,
can
right?
be, I suppose, but
Yeah,
I think
Yeah, I
also
mean-
all those visuals for all those spells and everything are
man,
they
they look
they're
so
so
good.
punchy and they feel so like immediate. you know?
yes,
they
they
feel
look
good.
they look great. They feel good, but they're quick. They don't take like 5 hours. There are some spells in Divinity. If you want to cast Rain in Divinity, I give you 5 minutes for your character to
Yeah.
dance around
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
the most underwhelming spell in the entire game.
For sure.
And they added a bunch of random stuff that's just fun. Like Bard, you can just start playing a song in the middle of combat.
Yeah,
It is
Great.
funny.
It's awesome.
It is
costs
funny
nothing.
every time.
It's just fun.
have
Things
you done performance? Have you like done one of those songs in your camp?
I did one in my camp, and people gave me money.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
that was like the strangest thing. I did that same thing because I was waiting for someone to like get done with their character dialogues with the people in the camp and everything. So I was just like, all right, I got time here. I'm gonna hit the perform button, and then people came over and then just handed me money, and I actually watched our gold count go up, and I was like, oh, this is fun.
Wait, like the long resting camp, or just like a settlement?
Yeah. No, like a long resting camp. Like
Wow,
Asterion
okay.
literally just came over to me
Yeah.
because no one else was talking to him, and he was like, "Oh, you're actually kind of good at this here," and he like gave me a gold piece, and I was like,
Oh my
"Wow,
God.
this is
That
dope
happened.
shit."
It happened in our game, but I don't think you remember it because you were also trying to play a loot at the same time. And when you try to play it and you're not
Failing.
you're not proficient, it sounds really awful.
That's fair. That's fair.
I did want to maybe bring up like the one thing that I feel like we have felt is not a great feature of this game, which is when you're in the middle of conversations and you're gonna make checks for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You're rolling around as a party, and presumably if you're all standing there, you all should be able to cooperate or coordinate on whatever's happening. But it's just whoever's in the middle of the conversation. It's not the group. It's just you. So if you go into a conversation, it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, I need to make an intimidation check, and I'm playing Gale. Well,
Gale's
it's not gonna
useless.
it's not gonna happen. You know.
Yeah,
but
the
you can't.
process at that point's like, oh, well, I should just exit out of this conversation, I guess, and let the party member that's good at that thing talk to them
Right.
instead.
Right.
What's frustrating to me is it feels like if we don't let Caleb do every conversation, Caleb being our bard, we're just throwing because we're gonna fail whatever check is involved in the conversation.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, I do
that,
too.
That also leads to, I mean, like the issue that of like why I had all of the characters like in love with me was because I was the face of the party. So I was talking to all of them. I was talking, you know, like every conversation that I had with other people outside of our party, you know, like that's how you get approval or disapproval from your party members. And so like I was the face of the party. I was the one that was doing all of that because I was, you know, I had all of the charisma and everything. And so then like your other characters don't get a chance to, you know, woo anybody else or be able to have approval or disapproval from anybody else because they're not actively in any of those conversations. It's just like the bard.
You
And
also,
so that kind of it sucks.
if you're always bringing the bard as your face, then people don't get their special character moments with various NPCs and stuff.
Well, I mean, those
Which is
games
just-
they've always had like the listen function where it's like, oh, one of my party members is in dialogue, I'm gonna go listen into the conversation. Whenever the dialogue option comes up for you to like provide it, if you're listening, then
You should be able to provide it.
provide input.
Mhm.
Right.
You should.
I know.
And it should not be like like somebody's like, oh, like I have the solution, and then somebody just comes in and be like, well, why don't you go take a shit? And just totally ruins the conversation. Like that could make things interesting.
It's also
it's weird.
I
I was just gonna say it's weird too. But, oh no, it's me. I was just gonna say it's weird too because it gives you such an like they made it like the quality of life change to allow to listen into a conversation. It just pops up on your character on the left hand side of the screen. You just click on your portrait or click on whoever's talking. Click on the ear. You're immediately listening. You don't have to be next to them. You don't have to be anywhere near them. Just
So nice.
instantly in the conversation.
Well, I was
That's
going to
accurate.
mention that you can, if you're not listening to the conversation, you can't buff their roles either.
That's true.
And so the game is already
That is
checking
true.
for you, like, you know, if you're listening or
other
not.
things.
And so, like, it already seems like it wants to know if you're there or not. And so if it's already checking that, why can't it also then give you that option of just being like, hey, if you're already here to be able to buff this guy, you're also probably here to be able to give the bard response to whatever the fuck is happening.
Right,
Yeah.
just jump in. They
Yeah.
really should take a note from Celasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Round robin conversations. Everyone
That's
stand in a
right.
line opposite whoever's talking.
Everyone stands shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I was
flail
going to
about
say
like
the
you're
one thing
falling
that
through the air.
I've been having at least a little bit of an issue with in the game has been there's no way to delay your turn, and it drives me fucking insane.
Is there really not?
There's no delay. There's also no ability to ready actions, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So delaying, I don't
Weird.
think is actually a thing in 5th edition, but readying actions definitely is. And you
Yeah,
can do
it's
it.
Why is delaying not a thing in 5th edition?
I don't know, but
Nonsense.
that's been
That's
kind
just-
of
It is. You do have the ability to delay your action. The issue is that the trigger for it, you have to set a trigger. And I feel like that's a programming nightmare in a game of all of these actions.
Yeah, maybe so.
Uh,
because that's just been a thing that like I've been bummed with because I know in Divinity you can like delay your turn until like the end or something, and like that's been really nice because it's like, okay, we entered combat, I'm all the way over here, they're all the way over there, I want them to come to me first. But because of the our turn order and everything, I was like, well shit, I've got to walk towards them, and then they're gonna run up and punch me in the face before I get a chance to do anything, or something of that nature. Or like, oh, like I want to wait for my other character to push this person closer to the edge so I can finish the deal, but I can't do that since I'm over here, like, and so there's kind of like that. I was like, I wish there was some sort of delay, but otherwise, I'm having a great time with it.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about negatives, no teleport appearance.
Yeah.
Do you
Bunch of
feel like
bullshit.
you need one in this? Because there's a lot of waypoints, and you don't need your entire party to hit any of those waypoints.
You're not playing with Aaron.
I still
Or
want
Wow.
Still want pyramids, yes.
I'm like going
Yeah.
around, I'm like, I think I'm really close to that one object my character keeps talking about wanting. And then Caleb's like, I'm stuck in a well and I'm dying. And I'm like, what well? What are you talking about? So I gotta like
Hey, I
leave,
warned you about going
wander
down the well
around.
before I started dying. Thank you very much.
And then I get there and guess what happens? Now Alex is dead. It's like, I just got here.
How
Yeah.
good? I honestly can't remember because it's been probably like a year or a little more since I've played it. But how does the music compare to the previous two installments?
Music is pretty good. I don't know that it's as good as Original Sin 2.
There's some original Sin 2 music in there. You can
There
play
is.
it on your
There
loop.
is.
There are like themes built into the songs for this game from Divinity, which I think is really cool. You can like hear pieces of old music that's built into, which is awesome.
It's well
Yeah.
done.
And we've
I heard-
also found like a portrait of Thane.
I
There's
saw
a
a portrait
whole
of
bunch of
Lowe's.
just references,
Yeah.
yeah, which is just fun.
I think I
I-
would agree. I don't think it's as good as Original Sin 2, the music.
I
Yeah.
heard
At least not
the
Yeah, we're early.
the
Yeah,
other day. I heard the tavern music to the inn in Seal
Mhm.
in Divinity Original Sin 1,
Mm-hmm.
which was so good.
So
And I was
good.
like, oh, never gone back and listened to it. And I think that Divinity, outside of the main theme, I think that Original Sin 1 had some banging music.
I mean, we listen to Original Sin 2 while we play board games. Some of the board
Do you
games we play.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. Y'all
Yeah,
must be
it's great.
nerds.
Yeah,
It's such a good. It's like it's so well done. It just feels like it works, especially for something like Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
Great, perfect.
That and The Witcher 3.
All right. Well, I would love to talk about more Baldur's Gate 3, but we need to get through this podcast so we can play it.
Oh,
So,
yeah, we do.
other two things. Remnant 2.
Yeah, Remnant 2 is like the one reason I'm sad Baldur's Gate just came out. Because I
Yeah.
want to play more Remnant. Because
We
it's really
barely played
cool.
it.
But Baldur's
cool.
Gate just came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a real problem.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. We haven't even reached our like the first boss though. I feel like we've barely played it.
Yeah, we haven't played a ton of it.
Not very much.
So far, I think it's probably better in most ways
Then
but-
Baldur's Gate 3.
than
Yeah.
Remnant from the Ashes.
I will say it actually has like puzzles, which I feel like the first game didn't have. They're a little. I feel like they're maybe a little obtuse. Like not necessarily. Oh, this is such a brain buster, but more like, did you read the piece of paper that was on the floor way over there? No, you're not gonna figure this out.
Wait, there's some good ones in our playthrough so far. I thought a lot of good puzzle stuff and environmental puzzle type stuff. I also played with Aaron and Chad a bit. Not nearly as much of that stuff showed up.
Very
Yeah,
low.
Oh, right.
I don't remember any puzzle yet.
Yeah. I think we had one thing, and it was pretty minor. And then the rest of it has been just like unique, creepy ambiance and
Yeah.
world
Man.
building space. I mean, it's very unique.
I joined their
That's
game and I was like,
crazy different.
I don't understand where you are because I've not seen any of this. And apparently that's just possible. Like when you start the game, you roll one of 3 worlds to start in.
Huh.
So there's in a different world from where we are. I was so
cool.
confused for a long time. Their world, I will say, is like I think our world is very Remnant 1 adjacent. Like it is very similar. Theirs is so different. It's crazy. It's very cool.
Dude, that was probably one of the weirdest games where it's like you just go to the next level and you're like, I'm in another dimension? What?
You're trying to piece together the story.
Why
You're
did
like,
I get a gun that's just like a grub that shoots beetles? I don't.
Yeah.
I just had a Winchester.
very weird.
It's fun. It's a very enjoyable game. We probably didn't mention this, but it's a third person. Is it 3-player co-op?
Yep.
Of course. What other number would it be, Aaron?
Yeah.
There's
Loot
only like
shooting.
5 classes. Why would there not be 3 characters?
Yeah, of course.
But
Isn't there-
it's like a Souls-like with guns.
Yeah.
Is the short version.
Are there
Yep.
more classes beyond that, though?
There
Beyond what
are.
you could choose in the beginning?
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's just 5 starting ones, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's
And
like 10 or
shows-
11 in the game.
Heck yeah. And one of them, Alex, you should bring up this one, the one special class that was, I don't know who
somebody told me about that. Who is that? Caleb?
the one that was data mined.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a subclass you can only lock via, like, data miners found it. And it was created for data miners to find.
Oh,
To
yeah.
unlock.
Wasn't it like you had to first data mine it, and then there's like a puzzle within a data mine, and then after you figure the puzzle out from the data mine, there's a puzzle in the game that you would only know through the data mine that
Yeah.
you now have to go through in the game to unlock
like
this
a-
class.
It's a
Yeah,
series
heck
of
yeah.
steps that are so obscure and have no instructions that you would never know how to do it without data mining the game.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Who is this game for? It's so weird. That's so bizarre.
I do want to bring up, compared to the first game, the classes matter, which is cool.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
first game, the classes did not matter like at all, really.
Yeah, you picked a class.
Yeah.
It was like, here's your starting armor, here's your starting gun, here's your starting ability. And then if you go talk to that guy, you can buy any other starting gear or guns or abilities.
Yep. Now classes have class-specific perks that you gain more of as you level up, class-specific abilities, of which you can equip 1 or 2 at a time. And they also still have gun mod abilities, which you can buy and equip to your guns. You just have a lot more tools at your disposal.
And you can multi-class.
And you can multi-class.
Mhm.
I'm
And
excited for that.
It's fun.
they
I wanna
added
play
a
some more.
ton of
I really do.
support for melee builds, which is perfect because I just got Alex off of the melee character and I
Yeah.
took it. So now I get to have the fun
So glad that I
melee
played the
build.
melee character in the first game.
Back when it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
And then you get to play the new one.
I'm not convinced it's gonna be good. Like, because the first game, it was good until we ran into a boss who flew 10 miles away for the whole fight. And then it was like, well, I guess he's got to switch his entire build for this fight.
Which we've already run into in the second game. It was a boss who, like, stood on cliffs, and you couldn't get to him with melee weapons.
Yeah, but you may recall the melee character is the one who beat the whole thing because everyone else shut their fucking game off
yeah.
at the Twilight
Alex and I
Hour.
crashed at the exact same time.
He had like
Jake finished the fight
25%
alone.
health left, and they were like, "Oh, we just crashed," and I was like, "Well, I'm not dying. They're so
Yeah.
close."
And then we didn't get the stuff. We didn't
Yeah,
get
they
the
didn't
item.
get.
Yeah,
They
love
didn't
that.
get the boss
Don't
drop.
finish
I
a
did.
boss if somebody in your group disconnects, because they just won't get their rewards.
Yeah.
Or
not great.
do despite them.
That's
Get
dope.
better
Or that.
computers.
Yeah.
Rude.
Dumb.
Yeah, our group, Aaron and I, and we were gonna have Owen join us, but he had other plans, I guess. I don't know. We haven't played too much, but I think it's a pretty good game. Souls-like shooter. That's what everybody describes it as. And
It looks
Perfect
good.
description.
Looks
yeah,
very good.
we got
Bosses
a couple
are really cool
bosses,
so far, I
and
feel like.
they were pretty fun to try to get through. And I think we died on one boss, which I mean, I wanted to play on the hardest difficulty, but Aaron talked me out of it. So.
Hey, the
Aaron
hardest
is a
difficulty
coward.
says don't play this difficulty unless you have leveled characters.
Yeah,
That's
it
usually
does.
where when the game says don't pick this one. That's
Yeah.
usually
Just
where I'm
wait.
like, all
You're
right,
like, all right.
fine.
That's when you're like, no, I don't know.
Listen, I know me.
That's for lowercase g gamers.
Listen, sir,
Mhm.
I paid money for this. I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
That's right.
I will
That's right.
say, I think they could have shortened the tutorial a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean,
That was
absolutely.
a pretty extensive tutorial where we weren't
Mhm.
playing together for a while.
It-
When-
Didn't
it's,
drag
like,
a bit.
it's like half tutorial, half intro cinematic. So it's not
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
like it's weird. It's
Oh.
very long.
Pointing
When are
that out.
when are okay? No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Hey, what's up? What do you want
So
to say?
winter games. So there are so many games that have like common systems, regenerating health, potions, maps, quests, blah blah blah. When are we gonna get to the point where it's like all of these things are so well established that like when you start a game, it'll be like, okay, you're gonna play the tutorial. Here are all the things in the tutorial, and you can be like, I'm gonna check all these boxes that I don't want to see. Be like, I don't want to have to wait 5 minutes while somebody's like, press the M button to open up the map. You're like, no shit, lady. Thanks.
Yeah.
What?
Like a
Wait,
lot
we-
of the things that
you
you,
could
you
do
can
that
just
in-
figure it out through keybinds. Like you don't need to. If there's some system that is
But-
specific to the game, like sure,
Right.
like teach me that. But
Exactly. But
I don't-
even still, it should still be there because the thing is that yes, it's like I'm coming in, I'm playing this game. I've been playing games for like 30 years. So this might be somebody's first video game.
out the womb.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like so it should always be there, but it should always be the thing where it's like, no, I get it.
Yeah, see, like, I mean, you don't have to jump down the hole at the beginning of Elden Ring. You can
Elden Ring
just-
is a
yeah.
great example.
yeah.
You can just go right into the game if you want. You
I
know,
don't
you don't need-
know how effective the tutorial in this game is anyway, because I joined up after you guys had done the tutorial, and Aaron's like, "How do I switch to my melee weapon?" And I'm like, "You just left click without aiming, and then it's the melee, and then
I
you
don't
aim and you
remember
shoot the
that
gun."
ever
Yeah, I don't
popping up in the
remember.
tutorial for
I'm
what
like,
it's
"That's
worth.
like the most basic part of the gameplay."
I don't remember that at all.
Tutorial didn't tell you that, I guess.
Aaron's
So-
real big on like self-imposed challenge runs.
Yeah.
You did Elden Ring without
Yes.
running.
Yes. 90 hours in, I learned you can sprint in Elden Ring. I mean,
Wow.
that's obviously the infamous one, but it's
Wow.
important. It's important. You gotta impose
I
extra
wanna
rules when
point
you play
out-
games.
The opening cinematic of Remnant, you jump off a train and you like pretty much break your ankle, and you have to like hobble for a little bit, but then like you just shake it off, and then you just you're able to walk now. You're fine. You walk 3
Yeah.
paces with the assist, but then all throughout that game, if you choose to jump off of something, there is no fall damage from any height
Yeah.
at all. But if you accidentally walk off something, there is fall damage.
Oh,
It's so
really?
weird. Yes, it's so weird.
What?
I don't understand it at
Interesting.
all. You can jump off like a 3-story building. If you jump, you're fine. If you fall, if like you walk, nope. Don't take fall damage.
I slipped into a hole and it just like took half my health, and I was like, wait a second, and I tried to I went right back up and I jumped off because I was like, I have to confirm this for gaming science, and no fall damage after I jumped.
I don't get it.
It's because based on their physics engine, when you jump, they probably had issues where you would jump just on flat ground and you jump, fall, take damage, and they're like, okay, well we'll just add in like a negating factor into like the code
Oh man.
when they jump, and then they're like, fuck it.
I thought
Why
it
not
was
just
more
take it
like
out at that point?
I thought it was more like going for realism, because like if you're jumping off something, you're ready for it. You're gonna like
You
roll
jump
and hit
off
the
something
ground.
and
and, like,
immune to damage.
yeah, you're gonna like
fall.
negate the damage by like rolling it off or whatever. But if you accidentally fall off something, you're not ready for that. You're gonna land all weird, probably twist your ankle.
Yeah, because everybody knows that if you barrel roll after you jump off something, any height, you're
Yeah.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Either that or fall into a haystack, man. You're good.
There it is.
You guys, have you guys interacted with Dwell, the character Dwell, much? He's the weird-looking guy right outside of the main
A
starting village.
weird-looking guy.
He's like
You're asking
he's
a
like,
lot. I don't know.
He's talking about how you're like a
or
Poxel tech.
remnants.
He calls everybody
Oh
a
yeah,
Poxel
he's
tech.
the
Tech.
horned dude.
Yeah, and
He's the
when he
merchant.
introduces himself, he does not introduce himself as Dwell. He introduces
Yeah.
himself as like Saistuka Drell or something. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, but my Poxel tech is Dwell. To shorten it up.
Yeah.
It's too much. The game's too much
I
sometimes.
like the
They're
guy who
also-
doesn't talk and he just writes on a chalkboard.
That guy too. Very cool.
Those guys are also really funny because they can't tell humans apart. They're like, all Poxel text looks the same.
Yeah,
I thought you were somebody else. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
it's good. It's good.
I went in the beginning. There's like the tutorialized vendors or whatever, so you have to like walk through and talk to the vendors and stuff after you meet up with the guy who can see very far into the present.
The president.
So I talked to some of the merchants before that though, and they were like, "Did blah blah send you over to me?" And I was like, "No, I just came over myself." Like I don't know. And then after I talked to them, I walked over to the guy who could see very far into the present, and then he sent me to those vendors, and then they had a totally different dialogue with me, like like, hey, now this is like the quest, so now let me talk to you. And I'm just like, this is weird.
All of this sounds like a lot of coding shortcuts.
Yeah, probably. Good game though. I've enjoyed playing it. I am also a little disappointed that it came out right at the same time as Baldur's Gate 3 because
Yeah.
It has. It's done really well. It's already sold over 1 million copies, which is great. They deserve it.
Nice.
I always love when
Yeah.
like
I think there's
It's
definitely
sort of like a
different
smaller
audiences
game.
there.
yeah.
for sure. We just happen to be in like the
like-
middle of the Venn diagram.
Oh, did you just make a heart when you said that?
Yeah,
If
because I love Venn
there's-
diagrams.
Like
What's wrong
if there's cult games out there, this game, the first Remnant was definitely like a weird cult game.
Mhm.
Where it's just a cult classic, being like,
Yeah.
it was really weird, but it was fun. It had some things, but like it was fun.
I thought that people generally didn't like Remnant because like I saw a bunch of reviews and stuff like that where people were basically saying that like it's not a great game. You guys always said that you liked it, so like there was just a difference of opinions there. But when Remnant 2 came out, I was like, they made a second one after the first one, so, like from what I heard, didn't do too well, and then everybody's like raving about this game, so I'm like, okay, I don't know what's happening here, but
It's
Maybe.
because it became a cult classic, and then burrowed itself into like gamers as being like, oh yeah, it's great, and then
or
the
maybe
second
I
one
just
came out.
entered a different dimension and you guys, didn't follow.
Like honestly, like
be.
even while I was playing the first Remnant, I was like, yo, there's some jank here.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's got some issues, but yeah, it's
It was
fine.
like there's some issues. It's like, but like, oh yeah, I just picked up like an MP5 and then I just appeared in some like magical realm with floating rocks, and I'm shooting swamp people. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. This is
Heck
great.
yeah.
Kept me on my toes.
Last but not least, in the video game section, let's talk a little bit about Ember Knights, which is another game multiple of us have been playing. This is a room-based, fast-paced, multiplayer roguelite, where you're playing as these little flames,
Knights.
essentially, in
The
knight
Ember
armor.
Knights.
Ember Knights.
It is a cooperative Binding of Isaac Clash. Hold on, Castle
Clash of
Crashers esque game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's fun. It seems pretty simple. Not a lot of layers to it. I don't even really feel like there's a ton of... I feel like we've already gotten all of the main upgrades, and we really haven't played much of the game.
yeah.
We've at
But-
least unlocked all the spells it told us.
Yeah.
So there's that. I
You're
don't know
able
what else.
to you're able to have 2 spells going in, and they randomize each room. Which Alex, being the host, always gets the legendary
Okay, I don't know if
new
that's actually
awesome
a thing.
item.
That's definitely
It's
a
a
thing.
thing. It's a thing.
I don't think it's a thing. I
Every-
think you
every-
guys-
Every time
You're the-
you unlock a new item, you get it. The next
You're the
roll.
only one who doesn't
Every
think it's a
time.
I
thing, and it's
don't-
because you have bias because you get the thing. You're like, oh.
Isn't
Meanwhile,
that like
Hey,
a
maybe I'm
Destiny
just
2
good.
exotic thing?
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
worse.
I know what you're
It's
talking
I
about.
think it's actually coded that the new item is given to the P1, and so if you're playing it by yourself, you would be able to experience
get
that
it.
new item. But
Mhm.
because P1 is Alex,
Maybe.
then he just gets it.
Totally agree with that assessment because in Destiny it is skill based. In this, it's just
So,
But there's like 6 different
You need to swap.
weapons.
yep.
yeah. swap.
6 different. You unlock the weapons over time of collecting. I forget what it's called. Skulls. Ember.
Ember, I think it's called Ember.
Ember souls.
Sure.
Runes.
Spark,
I don't know.
Whatever the currency is.
sparks.
You don't have to spend them. You just have to collect them. So that's interesting. You spend them at a fountain to upgrade your character with more health, more starting money, revive through level. So there's like, you could either go with the party revive that doesn't make sense, or the revive for yourself. Because for some reason, the party revive reads that you're adding a revive to the group, and there's 4 of us that bought it, yet there's only 2 revives. So the math isn't mathing there, or the
seemed
code isn't coding there.
Weird. Yeah.
The code is encoding.
Code isn't coding.
The bosses are pretty unique and cool. And then there's like different things like speed, power, to upgrade your character all throughout the game, magic, spell damage. And so we kind of have divvied up who's going to play what. I'm usually the speedster, Aaron's the powerhouse, Caleb or Alex go for spells and crit. Some, I don't know, we choose, go for it. Somehow, towards the end of the runs, I'm always trying to fight a frog alone.
Yep. Every time.
The going for a build is pretty funny because usually at the start somebody will be like, I'm gonna go for crit this time, that's what I want to do, and then they proceed to not get anything that helps crit for the entire run.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So funny. But yeah, it gets really tough towards the end. We haven't been able to finish a run yet, so
We have,
It'd be...
I think
Go ahead.
I think we realized at this point that room rewards, we used to just like split them up because it would be like 4 gems to add to your crit chance. And now I think we're starting to be like, okay, well, this guy's actually doing a crit build, so we're just going to give all of the gems to one person versus splitting the room reward. I think it's starting to help. It's really starting to like force our characters into a slot, but still difficult. It's tough. The last levels are pretty hard.
I think the game might be lacking a little bit in variety of bosses because we fight, the same boss in each section every time through.
One was named Harold, and then the other one was named like Gerald. Like, calm down.
One time we got
they have
we
some
got
slight
two of,
variations, but
one time we fought 2 of that one guy at the same time.
we did fight 2 of that guy once. Yeah.
There was like
It would be
something
nice
of
if they
like
were
bloodsucker or something, and the next time it was like sanguine.
It would be nice if there were like several options per level. It would randomly choose one.
Section. Mm-hmm.
All in all, though, good game. I think
Yeah.
it's I don't think you need to expect much getting it. It's a light game. It doesn't really feel like it's got a.
It's
it's got
pretty cheap too,
replayability,
right?
but it's not.
$20.
It's $20.
That's worth it for
It's
$20.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because it's co-op. I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's just fun to play that type of thing in co-op.
Yep.
Not
I
many
agree.
of those.
Okay, before we get into what you've been playing lately, Owen, you want to tell us about your Vietnamese Mexican restaurant that I just cannot possibly imagine how this exists, but okay.
It's actually mine.
Hold on, it is
Oh, that's Frank?
restaurant.
Okay, that's Frank. Well, the color's wrong.
Color's wrong.
Color's wrong, Frank.
Yeah, what are you talking
You
about?
gotta pick
So-
a color, Frank.
I have
You're gonna be-
two
you're gonna be yellow.
coworkers. I have 2 coworkers that have sat across from each other and have worked together for about 5 years. One of them, his name's Tuan. Not only is he an electrical engineer, but his family also owns a restaurant. English is his second language.
Okay.
And then there's the guy that sits across from him, and his name's Garrett. Garrett leaned over this morning, and somebody was talking about like, oh, where's Tuan? And he's be like, oh, he had to leave early. There's something going on at the restaurant. And the guy's like, oh, I didn't know he owned a restaurant. What kind of restaurant does he own? And Garrett goes, I'm pretty sure it's a Mexican restaurant. Now, if any of you had ever met Tuan, he is very Vietnamese, very Asian.
Mm-hmm.
They have sat across from each other for 5 years.
He could
They
still
work
own
together.
a Mexican restaurant.
It's possible.
That's
It's
true.
possible.
This guy brings in like pineapple fried rice and like fucking General Tso's chicken all the time.
Not a great guess.
Well, he doesn't cook what he eats for lunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the
Yes, he
restaurant serves.
does.
He doesn't want to eat the restaurant food. all the
Man.
time.
That's true.
I feel like a good guess would have been like Chinese restaurant.
But like Mexican.
It's not a great guess.
It's just I don't
Nice
know.
try. It's a nice try.
There is still in life. There's always things that can shock you.
I hope
That is very
Next
true.
week, you find out that he actually does. His
Yeah.
family does own a Mexican restaurant.
You should tell him about it, and he should bring in burritos.
That would be really funny.
That would be great. Man, a General Tso's burrito would actually be pretty good.
I'd eat it.
Yeah.
So pork fried rice, General Tso's chicken, sweet and sour sauce. You know,
I saw a picture of a sushi burrito yesterday.
That does not sound good.
I
That
know.
sounds awesome.
I feel like there are a lot of restaurants that do the Asian fusion, right? But I don't really feel like I find restaurants are like a Mexican fusion.
Yeah.
Not really.
It's just
I haven't had Mexican fusion. I would try it. I'm 100% on board, but I need some more.
Yeah.
I need some more variants. It'd be good. Okay, what have you been playing lately? Owen, we're gonna start with you, even though there's literally nothing on your list.
Yeah,
Is that
because of Baldur's Gate.
Because of
It's Baldur's Gate. That's
got it.
all I've been doing for the
Baldur's
past
Gate.
week. Is like I wake up, I play Baldur's Gate.
That's understandable. Totally okay. Jake,
On to the
Don't
next
you
person.
have a
Wake
job?
up, I play
Good life.
Baldur's Gate.
You'd think.
I eat, sleep, and breathe Baldur's Gate. Great. Jake, what have you been playing lately?
All right. Well, Baldur's Gate is the real answer, but I have a list of games that I played a while ago that I never had room for, and one of these is Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. So this is the remake of that Kingdoms of Amalur game. It's literally friend of the show Ben's. It's his favorite game.
I was gonna say, doesn't Ben love this game?
He does.
Yeah.
And it was like I was in like a weird spot where I had just finished one game and Baldur's Gate was still a ways away, so I was like, I need something to like fill the gap here. So I started it up. And it's pretty good. The combat's quite fun. I think the biggest selling point to it is the class system. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically like there's 3 base classes: warrior, rogue, mage. But as you level up, you can basically allocate your points between those 3, and you'll unlock hybrid classes based on your like distribution. So if you put, half your points in mage and half your points in rogue, you'll get sort of like a spell rogue thing. They all have fancy names. I don't know what any of them are, but it's like, the spell rogue can get spell crits really easily. Or like there's
rogue.
Yeah, that's great. But that's definitely like the most interesting part of this game, and messing around with that I think has been really, really fun. I think a big part maybe of why this didn't click in the mainstream is that like a lot of the world design and quest design feels very much like an MMO. Like you go into a town and there's a bunch of guys with exclamation points over their heads. So you talk to them and they say, "Oh, my cousin is in the forest. Go kill 10 spiders." And so you go into the forest and you kill 10 spiders and you go back and he's like, "Oh, thank you. Here's a helmet." And it's like a lot of the quests feel kind of like, okay, this is just kind of like a throwaway quest. You basically try to optimize it where you're picking up a bunch of quests, go into the forest, kill everything you find, and then come back and turn in all your quests. Like, it's fine. It's an excuse to do more of the combat, which is very fun. But the world and the characters end up not feeling very compelling, just because of that design choice, I think. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm enjoying it. I'll maybe get back to it after I beat Baldur's Gate 2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times.
So in like a year, maybe.
Look, man, it's not going anywhere. How's that?
Caleb, how about you? What have you been playing lately?
Well, other than Remnant and Baldur's Gate 3 and Ember Knights. Just played this game called Goobies. Good name. Goobies.
You can't just
Goobies.
make up a game.
It
and
does
put in
sound
here,
like I
Caleb.
made it up. It is a roguelike auto shooter, Vampire Survivors like style game.
Let's survive them up.
Survive 'em
Yeah.
up. You just play as a little blob boy. I think his name's Wibble Wobble or something.
How is it not?
You're
more.
just
It's
making
not
words up
Gooby.
now.
I'm not.
Playing Gooby, he plays a blob. His name's Wibble Wobble.
Yep. You just go around. You just bounce around as a little blob, shooting other blobs and upgrading, and it's just fun so far. Just
Are you like a viscous blob that absorbs other blobs to get
you don't
bigger,
absorb
be a bigger
them,
blob?
You just shoot them and you get
That's too
XP for shooting them.
Really too bad. Okay.
Or lighting them on fire or electrocuting them. Various weapons.
Methods of execution. Got it.
Mhm.
Cool.
It's just a pretty good little auto shooter. I'm having fun with it.
I don't know. We entered into the
Survivor-like.
pitch a game like PAX.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you don't think
My
Goobies
game's-
is the real game? I promise it's real. It's only like $6. It's cheap.
Like,
I still
like
will
not
never
60
forget.
Not really.
you go ahead.
I was just gonna say I still will never forget the guy who was like, "My game's called Burn Baby Burn."
Yeah.
Burn, baby, burn. That's a good one.
Ah!
Firefighter
good ones.
fighters.
Yeah,
Firefighter Fighters is a good one.
Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
Like 60% of what pops up on my friends list that Caleb's playing, I've never heard of it before, and it sounds made up. Like I'm half convinced that he has like a mod that he can just enter custom things to show up as what he's playing.
He's over there.
You can just click it and hit go to store page, and there it is.
Yeah, that's part of the mod. It's AI that generates the store page. You're over there playing. Whose game is it, anyways? Games are made up, and the points don't matter.
It's that way for Caleb, but then you have like Abe, and he'll launch something that sounds like totally plausible, but then you ask yourself, people play games like that? Right now he's playing Motorsport Manager.
Yeah, it popped up earlier, and I was going to mention something about it, but I couldn't fit it in.
After managing 6 kids, first of all, working, and then managing 6 kids all day, why do you want to play a game like that?
Motorsport Manager, man.
He's really into cycling stuff.
Yeah, he did the Pro Cycling Manager, like esports team manager game,
like 100 hours into that game.
And the
amazing
cycling tactics game.
Yeah, amazing.
I feel like
amazing.
I bet he'd really like that really boring space game Aaron was playing.
Oh my god.
Ixion! Frank, you should try Ixion. It's a good game.
Actually, you'd probably like it too.
Yeah, it's a good game. Okay, I'll go up next. I've been, of course, playing Baldur's Gate 3, Arona 2, and Umber Nights and all that stuff. That's really good. I've also been trying to finish Hades. Been playing it for a long time. I'm like 63 escape attempts in. Playing on Hell mode.
Only.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten the ending yet?
I have not. I have escaped 7 times now. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is really hard,
dude.
The first
Aaron like really bad.
The first 30 plus attempts are just incredibly difficult because of all of the Pact of Punishment components. Once I feel like you've upgraded enough on the mirror wall, you can make your way through fairly easily. But I've also, in the meantime of trying to play through, I've also been really trying to ramp up to get the additional things like all the little statuettes that you're given by Skelly. I've also been trying to unlock all of the hidden weapon. What are they called?
Oh, aspects.
Because they're really fun. I feel like they changed the weapon entirely. Like Arthur's blade, really fun to play with. That part of the game is cool. I think it's more. To me, maybe this is not the case when you're playing not on Hell mode. Maybe in regular mode, you do 30 runs and you've beaten it 10 times. I don't know, but to me, it feels like more end-gamey components where you're trying to do these other things that you weren't able to do. Because it takes a while to actually get there, but I don't know. Game's still fun. It's great. The dialogue's excellent. I love all the Olympians. I think they're all very unique. The duo boons you get on occasion, the legendary boons, builds in that game are just really, I don't know. It gives me that, not quite, but it gives me close to the Binding of Isaac super run feel where you just get the perfect combination and you just decimate everything. That's what I like about those games.
Just last week, somebody finally beat a max heat run.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
It took
that long.
I'm actually surprised.
That's crazy.
What is max heat? How many, what's the number of skulls or whatever? Do you know?
6.
I think it's 64.
64.
Huh?
Okay.
I got one of the numbers right.
6, yeah.
I have
Kind
done 10 heat at this point. That's the highest I've gotten. But I don't know. It's a fun game. I'm very excited about the second one. I think they're gonna if all they do is basically just pull in a new story and use basically the same thing with maybe a few new weapons, it'll still be a great game. But I'm sure, knowing them, they're gonna capitalize and make it great.
They're gonna hopefully they risk ran it.
They've never made a sequel before.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what ideas they had that made them go, this will be our first sequel. Maybe it also helps
We're
that
not
Hades
done
was
yet.
their most successful game,
Yeah.
as far as I'm aware.
Is it really,
But,
though?
Took the gaming world by storm.
Probably. I mean, the only other game they made that I think is even close would be Bastion,
Bastion,
which was
yeah.
a breakout hit when it came out.
Yeah.
But
Are you sure it's not
Hades
that
did even better?
The
3-player
visual novel
basketball
with the basketball.
It's
yeah.
probably not the basketball
Not
visual
Pyre.
novel. It's definitely not that one.
Weird, man. So weird.
I talked
I
to
respect they
Darren
do
Korb
that,
for
but-
2. I talked to Darren Korb for an hour and a half. I think the guy that does music.
Mm-hmm. He's the voice of Zagreus.
Yeah.
He's cool. I love his stuff.
Absolutely
That- I-
insane.
I
still
talked
think
with him for like an hour and a half, and I was like, "How are you coding all this stuff? Like, so you have it all?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's all melodic. You know, we're talking about like I have like set themes, and it's all in the same key, but it's I worked with like some of the guys, and I was like, just keep talking."
Yeah, I'm just listening. I
Just
still
keep
think
talking.
that was one of my favorite concerts. Just it's very unique.
Oh, yeah.
The music is incredible, and having them play it and be able to sing and just listen to music that's in a game you've played that you love. It's rare that I think you get that experience in general, but also getting it from an entire like grouping of games that you've played. Amazing. On to Alex. What have you been playing? Don't say Overwatch 2 or I'm going to be mad.
Overwatch 2.
Alex,
What's wrong with
He's
Overwatch
mad
2?
now. Lots
mad.
of things.
It's garbage.
Name
Delete
one
it.
thing. Exactly, you can't.
I
It's too
uninstalled
good. I
It exists.
uninstalled it.
You uninstalled it.
I uninstalled it. I absolutely did. It
I
does not
needed
exist to
space
me
for
anymore.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. It was on my SSD, and my SSD was kind of full, and I was like, what games do I have on here that I don't need anymore? Baldur's Gate. I just deleted Baldur's Gate. No, I'm joking. I deleted Overwatch. Of course I did.
That's funny. I did the opposite. I installed it a second time on Steam.
Damn.
So it's installed on my computer twice right now.
On Steam, where it's mostly negative.
Yeah.
Hey.
Because, well, of course it is. Like, what are they thinking? Of course the reviews are going to be negative. Everybody's so mad at that game right now. Anyway,
Yeah.
I enjoy it because it is fun to play, and I like the loop of the dailies for some
you don't.
reason in that game.
You don't
It's
really.
just
You've
I
locked
do.
yourself into this idea that this game is good. You've convinced yourself that it's still quality at this point.
It used to be good.
It did.
Frank, you never liked Overwatch. Get out of here.
No, I didn't.
But he
But
still
I
knows.
did
He still
I just like-
respect.
I
I
just
did
like
respect the first
game recognized game. It says, yeah, you know.
I hop on at the end of the day, and it's just like chill out and play some quick play. I don't play competitive. I don't need to get sweaty. I play Lifeweaver only. Lifeweaver is now my third most played hero out of the entire roster.
Wow.
I mean, I feel like he's basically the only one you play.
Yeah, I've got like 40 hours in a Lifeweaver now. I mean, I've finished every battle pass that they've put out so far in Overwatch 2. I've got all the mythics.
You're still supporting them. What are you doing? Stop it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a
can't-
fun
Don't
game.
support them.
The battle pass is what broke me. There was a period where I was only playing to level up the battle pass, and I hated it. It became such a grind. And like, of the whole battle pass, there's like 2 good things. So it's not even like, oh, I'm getting all this cool shit. It's like I got the 2 skins I wanted, but I stopped having fun playing.
I gotta say,
If I have to do chores at home, why am I going to do it in a game?
looking at the battle pass concept and looking at every battle pass any game has ever put out, Fortnite is hands down always the best battle pass.
Oh, yeah.
Period. Like, it gives
I would
you
agree.
V-Bucks to you could basically buy the battle pass and then it pays for the next battle pass and that pays for the next you can buy one battle pass and have all of them free, and then they give you so many skins and emotes and sprays. It's just but then I look at like Call of Duty's, Overwatch's, it's just like, I don't play that character, so why do I want that skin? Like, oh.
Yeah.
Man,
Overwatch has a bunch of sprays and voice lines, which are like, wow, this sucks. Even for my favorite character, I don't give a shit. So bad.
It's not great. I don't know. Lately, I just really like playing Lifeweaver. It's just a lot of fun. And like the community at large thinks he's such a bad character. So like, when you do good on him, it's just fun because then people are like, wow, a good Lifeweaver. That's crazy.
Do you need some affirmation? Like, I'll talk to you.
Yeah,
If
maybe,
that's what you
maybe.
need. I'll just.
Hey, buddy, you're a good hero.
The important part is season 6 came out today, so there's a new PvP mode, Flashpoint, and there's a new character, a support, Elari, and she's awesome. She's a precision shooter. She's got a beam heal weapon. She's got a heal turret. She's got mobility.
Oh, another buildable.
Yeah.
That's what we were looking for.
It's a buildable. Yeah.
To be fair,
Great.
as a healer, I feel like that's less obnoxious.
Yeah.
Because the annoying thing is the auto-targeting and just all that. It
know.
does too much damage. But as a heal, it's like, it's probably fine.
Yeah, it's not like shooting the enemy. It targets lowest health percentage allies. It only heals one at a time. So
it's reminiscent of Soldier's Heal, to be honest, because like you place that heal on a wall, and if you're a DPS, you know where, if you make a note of where that heal is, and then you pretty much play that wall, and you like kind of jiggle peek shooting, and you like, oh, I'm low, and you just step back, wait for the heal to pop. The healer doesn't even need to focus you anymore. Healer could also do damage with you, which is really cool.
Yeah, her weapon will do like a ton of damage if you're landing headshots. It's like 2 headshots to kill a squishy.
Wow.
You have to wait for it to charge up. So, and it has like pretty aggressive fall off. So you have to play kind of mid range to be able to be effective, I think.
Is it that it has a higher crit multiplier like Kiriko does, or just it just does a lot of damage if it charges?
I don't think it's super high. I think it's only like 1.5, but the base, I think the base damage is like 75. So
wow,
dang.
All right,
it does like 112.5 or whatever.
That's a lot.
A headshot. She's quite fun, I think. I'll probably play a bit of her alongside Lifeweaver now that she's out. Flashpoint is the new mode. It's a kind of King of the Hilly, where there's like one point that you fight over, but when that point gets captured, a new point spawns on the map, and the maps are like really big and have like 5 different spots that you can fight over. And so you have to win 3 capture points to be able to win. So it's kind of an alternative to CP a little bit, that's more balanced and has more flanking options and stuff like that.
It could be some long matches.
Yeah,
you get 2 points, which are equal fighting over. It takes a while to get that 100%. So if you think the capture point takes a while to get to the 100% sometimes, but now you have to do that 3 times. But then say one team gets 2, and the other team gets 2, and now you're fighting over the last one. It's 5 points that you got to get.
Yeah,
or the 5 points that you're gonna fight over. So seems like it is a lot of fun though. I think back in the heyday of Overwatch, if they released this mode, it'd be a lot of fun to play that mode.
I don't believe it. Did you guys try any of the PvE stuff?
I played.
Do you even want to say anything about this, Alex, or is this just going to add more flame to the fire?
It's gonna feed the flames. But no, I kind of have to now. Yeah, I bought the $15 pack or whatever. So the $15 pack, first of all, gives you access to the missions, plus it gives you 1,000 credits. So it's like the battle pass, and I was gonna buy the battle pass anyway.
You are so defensive right out of the gate.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I just asked how it was.
So it's a set. Like I was gonna spend $10 on the battle pass anyway. So it's basically $5 for the missions.
What are you selling it to us? Just tell us how it is.
You don't have to validate, Alex.
I didn't get a chance to play the missions though because there's like.
That was a long run up to no, I didn't play them.
There's like technical issues with purchases, and they have not fixed it in time for me to do it before this podcast.
Too much traffic. Everyone's buying this thing.
Alex
your money's
messages
gone
me.
though.
Yeah, Alex messaged me earlier today, and it was like, "Is anybody?" Oh, he messaged me and Kate, and was like, "You guys want to try the PV?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll try it." As I'm looking at the Steam launch and looking at the reviews and stuff like that, I read somewhere that, hey, don't buy it on Steam yet because you can't redeem it. So you basically just spend money and can't play. Alex tells me, yeah, I can't redeem it. And I'm like, dang.
Shoot,
dude. There is one PvE like mission. It's not a mission, event, I guess, that is free to play. And so we did try that. It is essentially archives. It is basically exactly that.
Cool.
With like a couple new units. I don't know.
What tier would you put it at? Retribution, whatever the first one was called, or Storm Rising?
I don't remember them enough to really say. It was decent. It wasn't. It's not setting the world on fire. It's fine.
I played the Halloween event, and that's the only one I had to compare it to.
Oh yeah, Halloween. How was it compared to that?
This one, I like blows the Halloween event out of the water.
Well,
Like
that's good at least, because the Halloween event was pretty bad.
it's so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like you got the thing, and then there's people trying to blow it up, and then there's like the slow bomb walker guy coming to get it, and you got to blow him up before he gets there, and then like it's that whole system again. So
Sounds like the first Archives event
Yeah.
that I should probably learn the name of.
I'll
But-
trust you that it's good.
and that's
I mean,
fine.
nobody said
I didn't
the
think it was
PvE
good.
event was good. We just said it was better than the Halloween event.
I hope the missions are better. I want to try them.
yeah, that,
Uprising.
Sounds like they're not
You know-
going to be, but
I didn't mention this earlier, but I was like wanting to say to Alex, like, is this what I'm going to be paying $15 for? Because I don't know about that.
All right. Well, you'll have to report back in 2 weeks and
Yeah,
tell us how the
tell us
missions
next
were.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let us know. Chad,
Oh,
there
boy.
is a long list here, bud.
Don't worry,
like-
it'll be shorter than BG's section, okay?
Uh-huh.
Diablo 4, I've been playing that a little bit, you know? Got my
No.
character up to level 82, 83, somewhere around there. And then I took one look at the renown grind that I have to do, where I have to, pull myself away from nightmare dungeons, and I'm like, eh. So,
Mhm.
I did maybe like 2 map completions out of the 5, and then pretty much stopped playing that. I mean, the Malignant Hearts are cool, but like that's the only new thing for the whole season of 3 months. That's crazy to me. Like,
Yeah,
that's
no way.
basically to put it into perspective for people who don't know what Malignant Hearts are. It's basically if you've ever seen a socketing system on weapons or items, your jewelry or whatever, and you can like socket a gem into it to do like different things. To like it adapts your skills a little bit. That's all it does. One of the ones makes the gameplay actually feel kind of gross, which is called the Barber Heart. It for a set number of time, and it varies based on which one you actually get. Could be like 2 seconds, could be 4 seconds. The enemy absorbs your damage, so the health bar doesn't move for like 2 to 4 seconds. After it absorbs the damage, it like multiplies it and makes the enemy explode. So like a whole pack can die, but basically the entire time you're wailing on the person, you're like, man, I feel super weak. So it just makes the flow of the gameplay just feel very bizarre. So you're basically just like smack, smack, smack. You walk away, whole pack explodes. So you're like, doesn't feel as good as when you're in the Eternal Realm, the for preseason, when you actually saw health bars just like dropping. Like that's the ARPG. That's what I want to see. I want to see health bars drop. All this got going for it right now is Nightmare Dungeons. I mean, you're just at the end of the game, just spamming Nightmare Dungeon after Nightmare Dungeon. That's it. That's all you're doing.
I'm good.
Unless they add more stuff, like I don't know if you guys have actually looked into Path of Exile or whatever. There's all sorts of different bosses that you can fight. There's different dungeons to go through. There's just a lot more that they have for there for you to play. That I'm just kind of baffled that over 11 years it took them to that amount of time to develop this game.
Mhm.
Diablo 4 came out and there's like, all right, world boss Nightmare Dungeon. Cool, thanks. Playing a tiny bit of Fortnite. I have a buddy who I was playing Diablo and like other MMOs and stuff like that with. Got into the no build. And so that's been interesting. I got back into it and immediately, of course, I don't know why I do this to myself. They added the most broken item in the game, which is Gojo's purple hollow or hollow purple or whatever. So really interesting when you're in a build fight with somebody and literally all of the builds just explode in your face and you get 120, 150 damage done directly to you. So that's awesome. And then there's also the it's like this the doll hammer, the nails. It's the chick uses it in the show. Where you hammer the nails towards people, they explode on impact. They're interesting items, and I mean it's pretty decent. Very shocking after seeing Futurama's ray gun that to be in the game. So at this point, Fortnite, once again, I've said this time and time again, is a walking advertisement. So it's awesome.
Really jumped the shark.
Yeah, I mean, it's still unique and fun experience every time I play it, and it's like one of the best BRs out there to date right now. Like Call of Duty's dropping the ball left and right, and any other game that I try and make content on, dies. So Fortnite's
Have
the
you
one
ever
that survives.
considered that maybe like you're the reason that the
You're the
Yeah,
kiss
no,
of
100%.
game
death.
dies?
Yeah, I go to Hyperscape. I made content. That game died. I go to Blood Hunt. Made content. That game died. It's just me. I'm the curse.
I think what
How's
we need to do is
how's
start picking
PUBG
games we
doing?
don't like and have you go make content for them.
Go make
so that they
content
die.
for Overwatch.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yes,
get on
Overwatch 2,
it.
Chad. Do it.
All right, I'll start making Overwatch 2 content. It's already dying though. Is the thing. So like,
Yeah.
You can
Kill
accelerate
it
it though.
faster.
I played. So Frank texted me yesterday and was like, "Hey, yo, Hunt Showdown," which actually Sam's been playing that, and I've been like, "Yo, I want to play some of that." So when Frank texted me yesterday and wanted to play some Hunt Showdown, I pretty much ditched family night and went and played some
Heck yeah.
Hunt Showdown. That game has some. It's just such a good game. I don't know. I always think that's a good game. The two gripes that I have with it is one, the crosshair is down at the bottom of the screen, like it's not in the middle screen.
Always has been.
I don't know why they developed it that way, but like it's the bottom third of the screen. Like you basically look like you're looking to the sky when you try to aim at people. It's so weird. But yeah, I don't know what my second gripe was. I lost it mid sentence. But they added changing weather. That's nuts. Like it's like monsoon, thundering. Like you could barely hear yourself in comms. Like
That's cool.
and then it just like becomes sunny, and like it becomes sunny at the most inopportune times because you're like coming up on a squad and you're like running really fast and you're like touching through the mud, making so much noise, but like nobody can hear you because the rain. And then tweet, and then you're like, oh, there's a guy right there. Oh, and then you're stuck in a weaving. They also reintroduced. I don't know when they did this, but there's a necromancer perk, which when you're solo and only when you're solo can you revive yourself after you die. So Frank killed somebody, and we were just kind of like chilling, like trying to assess the situation. Dude just pops up in his face, and he kills him again. And my explanation, because we didn't know about this yet until today, was, oh, maybe there was like his teammate was around the corner, you couldn't see him, and he like rezzed him from a distance or something like that. No, he just used the revive button, which is pretty interesting. You got to burn bodies now on solo players. So that's cool. Guns are always really nice and crisp to use in that game.
When you can hit people.
Yeah, when you can hit people. I don't know if there's a tick rate or something that we're on that we just can't hit people. But anyways.
Well, it's not. None of the weapons are hit scan weapons.
True, yeah.
All of them have muzzle velocities that are akin to weapons from the 1850s. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to get some more game time in. My MMR is a little too high. I kind of need to keep losing some games to where we can actually get into matches where
Man,
we're not
I
getting
have-
absolutely slaughtered.
yeah,
I have
we
like the
got
polar
stretched.
opposite issue with my MMR always. It's always really low.
I must have been too good at the game back in the day. So, anyways, played Elden Ring. Didn't realize I was 3 bosses from end. So that's cool.
Heck yeah.
The last boss is a letdown in my opinion. He's annoying, not hard. It's just constant running to the other end of the room. I don't. Anyways,
That's fair.
Um,
Also kind of anticlimactic at the end. Compared to the other bosses you fought,
yeah.
That's basically a Dark Souls tradition, is to have an underwhelming final boss, though.
Yeah.
I spent absolutely forever just banging my head against Millennia for just forever.
Oh, sure.
Refusing to use a summon.
Mm-hmm.
The second I use a summon, I beat her. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it was
Summons
so
are
annoying.
crazy.
Yeah, they're
We were
nuts.
talking about
Very good.
at least some of you used a summon to beat her, right?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Mhm.
Caleb didn't,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
Okay, I thought Caleb had held out.
He
Well,
learned the
I-
dodging pattern.
Lunatic.
I also have a huge gripe with the Elden Ring that I believe because of like Sekiro and Bloodborne and stuff like that, more of the fast-paced Souls games coming out, strength builds are just not optimal. Like that you can do it, but it does not feel good. And I was describing it to Alex and I was like, this is basically how you use a strength build. You dodge roll, 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 you dodge roll. All right, they're finally done with their 900 flurry attack. Jump attack.
Jump attack.
Dodge roll, dodge roll,
Jump
dodge
attack,
roll,
baby.
dodge roll, dodge, and that's it. That's all you do. I feel so scummy for it the
Oh,
entire
I
time.
love it. I love it so much. There were some bosses towards the end. I killed in like 3 hits.
Yeah,
Absolutely ridiculous.
What level did you get to? Do you remember towards the end? 'Cause I beat it
I
at like
don't
130.
remember.
So
I think that sounds about right.
yeah, okay.
I'm playing a magic build right now, and that feels pretty scummy too.
Yeah.
Very strong.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just feel like Dark Souls 1 through 3, like the bosses were slow enough that you could basically maybe even hit them twice with a very big sword and then like start dodging. But like Elden Ring, it just doesn't feel like that. Like you do one attack and that's it. And if you didn't time it right, you're screwed and you need to start dodging.
Yep.
3 definitely tended fast, but like 1 and 2 especially were pretty slow.
Yeah. I really loved the strength builds in 1 and 2. They were so good. So I did mention a while ago that I was playing Marvel Spider-Man. Finally got through that. Beat it. You know, so it was a good story. So then I was like, but I want more. So then, of course, you know, even though everybody says Miles Morales was not great, I bought it anyways and played through it.
You did it.
I absolutely love the soundtrack that plays throughout the entire game. Like,
That is fair.
it's so good.
It is really good.
I do kind of see you guys' point on there's just some times where he's just swinging around on the phone with his, you know, buddy there. And it's like, bro, you don't, like, he can hear you. The microphone is like probably in your suit right next to your mic. You don't need to yell. Like,
Sure.
also, you don't need to whine yell the entire time. But like, I actually, maybe because like I've always like the Sinister Six and like all that's like overplayed and that's like a thing that is constantly introduced. I actually really enjoyed the Miles Morales story and like the ending actually kind of got me a little choked up. So you know, it's that it's small time, you know, small folk city coming together and like seeing the identity and then just like not saying nothing and like sticking together and then also like the way I don't know, just like the interaction at the end. First of all, the I do think that the villain is stupid throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, okay.
But
Sure.
how it ends is like, oh, that's kind of sad. Like,
You know what? That is a fair analysis, I think.
yeah. No, like it's reminiscent of I've said that a lot this cast. What is it? The new Captain America show where it's like the enemy is like
the Winter Soldier and
like the redhead
Falcon
chick
and
is
Winter
like
Soldier.
why?
Garbage.
Like
Sure.
why are you the enemy? Like this is so weird. You guys could have worked together. Like
Sure.
there's a different solution here. Like you like I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I liked it. Oh, I need to say though, after playing through Marvel Spider-Man, at first I told Alex that Spectacular felt a little too difficult, but then once I got into it, I was like, oh, this is actually like, now that I'm not thinking about this as a God of War, Elden Ring, like combat style, I got down to it and was like, okay, this is kind of easy. So what I did was, I didn't really want to mess around with unlocking everything and roaming the city and stuff like that. So I found a 100% save file for Miles Morales, loaded that up, New Game Plus, and played on Ultimate so that, because you can't unlock Ultimate unless you beat the game the first time through.
Sure.
So I New Game Plus it, played on the hardest difficulty, and still beat it within like 7 hours.
Well,
Nice.
okay. Gamer.
What a good idea. That way you don't have to like go unlock everything. You can play with the whole build, but it's still difficult.
Yeah. Or they could just, I don't know, release Ultimate to me without New Game Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to pad the length of Miles Morales, dude.
I mean,
Any
they
way
did
they
that for
can.
the first game too, where like you couldn't play Ultimate unless you New Game Plus it. So like, let me
Yeah.
play on the hardest difficulty. I don't want to have to play twice.
Yeah.
Frank, last but not least.
I've been playing some Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced. I think that if there's anything, any game out there from my childhood that'd be like, I want a modern re-release of this, like a modernized graphics, that would be the one. I mean, that was the game that turned me on to tactical turn-based games.
Mhm.
And you know what? Going back, I'm like, yo, this job system's fucking crazy. Storyline's like, whatever, but there's some interesting stuff in there. But like the fact like the whole loop. The game doesn't have a difficulty setting, but it also like if I would just like phone it in, I'd be like, wow, I put myself into a bad situation. It's just cool, and the music always takes me back. It's very much one of those like nostalgia games where I can remember like what my house smelled like during the summer, sitting on the couch by the window playing that game. And then I've been playing Mountain Blade 2, Bannerlord. So I was a very big fan of the first Mountain Blade when it first came out. I thought it was so neat to have like a like civilization game where it's like, oh, I'm gonna take an army and I'm gonna go fight people, but you actually fight in the battle, and you're also the commander, and all your sword and defense attacks are done with like the motion of your mouse. And so it's kind of like a little bit of a fighting game of like, oh, I need to block. So they've, it's been out for real for, I think like a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. They've added a lot of things to it. A lot of things where like the mod community from the original game had made, they just rolled into the game. And so there's like a whole like family system. You can have children. Your character dies of old age. And probably the most frustrating part is where you're in the middle, where it's like, okay, my character has leveled up to the point where I can pretty much one hit anybody. I have like good armor. I have a solid army. Like I'm gonna side with one of the factions and try and take over the world. But when you join up with a faction, you're the bottom of the totem pole, and nobody in there is a tactical genius. They're just like, because you see the AI, they like walk in. It's like an army of 500 walks up, and then they're like, oh, there's like another army of 500. We're gonna walk away and wait, and they all just sit there until like another army of 90 shows up, and then they attack you, and it's like, well, guys, but I can't tell them to go and do anything. So I picked the underdogs that it's the kingdom that has no cavalry for any of their soldiers. And I was like, I made a mistake.
Sounds like a losing kingdom to me.
But you know what? It's where I can make the most money. So it's like, oh, I'm making all this money. Like, oh, I'm getting good fights.
What's
like,
the point
okay.
of winning if you don't have horses? That's all I'm going to say.
I have so many horses. You have no idea.
I thought you said you didn't have cavalry.
Well,
are they
the
just
faction,
like free-form horses?
No, the faction. So the faction that I joined up with, their military's progression does not eventually reach, because you can have like foot soldiers, pikemen, cavalry, archers, like whatnot. But that side is just like, you're a Viking. You're a Viking.
Okay, all right, sure. Vikings don't ride
that
horses.
has throwing axes or javelins. And then it's like every time you level up, you're just more Viking.
Okay.
So like one-on-one,
they're Viking.
They're like infantry on infantry. They're ferocious, but the thing is that every other fucking civilization in the game has cavalry, and they all show up with cavalry, and none of the NPCs know what to do, and I can't command them what to do. Because they'd be like, oh, geez, that chasm right there that's just really skinny and straight, where they can't like charge you. We should all go in there. And they're like, nah, charge, send it, fucking send it. And then they run, they get their ass kicked. They're like, oh, wait, no, pull back. So yeah, I have a family of 4. And I'm trying to make all my kids go into money. So when I eventually die, they're all good at trade and nothing else. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Are we talking about the same game?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, because it's a medieval simulator.
I
So,
see. Are you
yeah.
not worried that all your kids are going to catch the plague and die at the age of 2?
No.
Not that kind of simulator.
Disease is not a part of the game.
I see.
I'm sure there's a mod for it, though. Very big workshop.
He yells at you, it's
Well,
a
it's weird that
medieval
it's-
simulator,
Yeah,
and then
there's no disease.
disease is no part of the game.
That is weird.
Well,
get into-
that's why I said it in quotes, because I'm like, it's a weird game.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it went on to spawn Napoleonic Wars, which then went on to spawn about 10 very popular clones. Where it's like somehow people just be like, yeah, muskets. I want to shoot one shot and then spend the next 15 minutes reloading it.
Heck yeah.
And I'm probably not going to hit anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
While I'm standing in a line with
While
a whole
I'm
bunch of other
standing in
people.
line. Yep. You know what?
Excellent.
Good.
Need to
All
say
right, well, I think,
one thing for correction.
All right.
So if you made it this far into the cast, and you remember way back when we started
Nobody
talking
makes
about
it this far into
like
the cast.
you remember when we initially started talking about Baldur's Gate 3, and I brought up the whole thing about devs being losers.
Mhm.
I mentioned the whole thing about how like they're not there for us to be entertained, or they're not what is it called, responsible for our entertainment. That was
Mhm.
actually the producer for the Witcher Netflix series. And
Oh.
it
Love
was basically because how bad this last season did. He came out and was like, yeah, well, it's because Americans are dumb and we needed to dumb down the complexity of the story. And it's also not
No.
our responsibility for us to entertain you. We knew it was actually painful to do. We knew this was going to happen.
Get out.
So-
Get out.
So people are like, "Hey, that show you put out was really bad. No one liked it." It's like, "Well, we just made it worse so you would watch it, you idiot." And it's
Yeah.
like, "Well, that doesn't." We're literally
What a good defense.
complaining about that. I don't get it.
Which
it
is
can't be our
hilarious to
fault.
see because, like, I don't know. Let's just look back into history. Like, Game of Thrones, before the last like 3 seasons, was the most complex story out there to date, or even Lord of the Rings. You bring that up.
Sure.
That was a pretty complex movie that we were, trying to watch. Yet they're like critically acclaimed, and then you're gonna come at us with like, oh, we had to dumb it down for you Americans.
And you literally talk to like the most average person in America, and it's like you watch Lord of the Rings, it's like, yeah, I love those movies. It's great.
yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
I love it.
Even Game of Thrones, which I arguably the first couple of seasons, you're like, I don't know who this character is, like, I don't know what's happening,
Right.
but I love this. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
you,
why is it
you
dark?
need to keep a notebook here, and you're just like, all right, that's that person. That person's connected to
What?
that.
What,
to be
what
fair,
is it?
sometimes you don't know who's who is because they just change actors and don't tell you.
Not true.
And don't
Really,
name
that
drop
was
the person at all.
confusing for a while.
Dario Naharis.
Is that guy's not the mountain? There's no way. I know what the mountain looks like. It's not that guy. That's a different
Yeah.
giant man.
Yeah.
Still think the best my favorite character in Game of Thrones was Thoros of Myr, the Red Priest
Oh, sure.
in the Brotherhood, who was just always drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
just
I vibe
like
with
that
him.
actor. I like that actor. In a
Alright, so
movie
Aaron,
called
you need
All
to-
Gone Pete Tong.
You need to take
Mhm.
this section, you need to cut it, you need to throw it.
Put it in the earlier section.
in the earlier, yeah.
That's a lot of effort.
All Gone Pete Tong. It's about a
We ha-
DJ
dude, the
who
viewers.
does so much coke he
I know.
goes deaf.
I know the viewers. The viewers.
Great.
Here's-
And so then he learns how to DJ by putting 2 huge speakers on his feet, and each one of them is one of the channels. It's very
I don't-
akin to fighting
He's
blind
like-
in Evo.
He's like
Very
very
kid.
he's like
Yeah.
Toph for DJing.
Yeah.
Wow, this is great. Take the top part and put it in the kineticist part, and put the Evo part and put it in the Evo part.
Did you guys know that Hunt Showdown all-time peak was actually June 2023?
Oh my
All right, so take
gosh.
that section, and then you got to
Done.
put that.
Done. We're also done with this podcast because it's time to go play some Baldur's Gate 3. So, anyways, thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you back in 2 weeks where we'll talk a little bit about, I guess, Alex is going to talk about Overwatch. We're all going to be sad again, but it's okay. He's going to give us an update. We'll also play some other games because that's what we do. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time. See ya.